It's Friday, February 27th. Today's stress, anxiety, and a call for help on the sand. Manitobans describe steep airfare and logistical hurdles as they try to make their way out of Mexico. Also, when snow removal is not as simple as it sounds, why Manitoba Snowblowing Company is calling for changes to a city bylaw. And the gloves are off. A rivalry between two communities claiming to be the place where hockey was invented. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning, Manitoba. Happy Friday to you. We made it to the end of the week. Woohoo! Thank you so much for being with us here on Your Morning Winnipeg. Now, Ainsley McPhail is going to be hanging out with Artbeat Studio this morning because it feels like this winter is so long and it sort of affects our mood often and maybe leads to the winter blues. So Artbeat Studio has a way of making people feel a little bit better just through art. So we're going to find out a little bit more about what they're doing right now and introduce you to some of the artists as well. But the weather today, what can we expect?
Ooh, it's not going to be feeling good. I know you might be waking up this morning, even if you stepped outside already, it's early. But if you did happen to have stepped outside, or if you're about to, I'll tell you, it feels pleasant out there. With where these temperatures are sitting, we're barely below freezing. -1 to begin the day, and that puts us well above seasonal. There's a caveat. Yeah, of course. It's not going to stay this way. It's going to be getting cold throughout the day with the temperatures dropping and those winds increasing. Already those winds shaking our camera around out of the west at 24 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling. The humidity sitting at 81%. And it is going to be cooling down throughout the day today. We're under a blowing snow advisory here across southern Manitoba. And where it's clear across the north, you're under a cold warning. And those cold temperatures will be felt by us as well as that cold north air moves in and drives these temperatures down. Right now, we're still dealing with some heavier clouds. There was a little bit of light snow overnight. We still could see a few flakes of snow, but it's really going to be the blowing snow due to those very strong winds. There will be a little more organized activity moving through central Manitoba, but here in the south, it's just going to be touch and go. But again, once it's all blowing around, and remember, we got that really fresh snow yesterday. It was dry, fluffy snow that can kick around very easily on a light wind, never mind the up to 80K winds that we're expecting to deal with throughout the day today. Then it will be clearing out overnight. By then, we're already in the deep freeze. It's going to stay cold throughout tomorrow, all weekend long, in fact, below seasonal temperatures, although we should be seeing a return to the sunshine. Today, we could still crack the freezing mark. I mean, we're at -1 right now, and we might still climb a little bit more before everything starts to kind of fall apart on us. But those temperatures will be driven down throughout the day, cold through the weekend, and there you see a little bit of relief looking on the other side into next week.
Thank you, Terry. Some Winnipeggers remain stranded in Mexico, although it's been days since cartel violence shut down Puerto Vallarta. And while the situation has calmed down, some are still waiting with no word from airlines about when they can return home. CTV's Danton Unger reports.
Helicopters fly over the beach of the Mexican resort Keegan Sum and his family have been stuck at for the past 4 days.
Everyone is feeling quite stressed and anxious about what's going to happen in the next few days, whether or not we're going to get home.
They were supposed to fly home to Winnipeg on Sunday, but their Sunwing flight was canceled as cartel violence erupted in Puerto Vallarta. Since then, they've been left waiting with little information.
We haven't received official word from Sunwing via email in over 3 days.
CTV News reached out to Sunwing and was directed to contact WestJet, which as of its latest update issued on Tuesday, says it's prioritizing passengers who had flights canceled on Sunday and Monday.
Our rep said there's still 44 people at this specific property from Winnipeg that are awaiting flights. So we know we're not alone in this.
This whole thing is just like a nightmarish process.
Andrew Parks is relieved to be back home in Winnipeg, but he says getting here came with a hefty price tag.
It cost me $6,000 to get for a one-way flight for a family of 5.
His family's WestJet flight was also canceled Sunday. The airline told him the earliest flight home would be March 3rd. He ended up booking a flight with Air Canada instead, but even then, he says seats disappeared quickly.
People are just clicking on the website and it's just a lottery to get people home.
As for Sum and his family still stuck in Mexico, they left this note in the sand at their resort. WestJet, send plane, por favor.
Everyone is quite anxious to come home.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And we have an update to the story. Keegan Sum and his family have since found out from WestJet they'll be flying home this morning. Meantime, a WestJet spokesperson tells CTV News it has scheduled 12 additional flights to Puerto Vallarta to bring people home and says it may add even more depending on demand. People who book through a travel agent or online booking agency are asked to contact them instead of WestJet. The airline also noted it will be reviewing all expense submissions incurred as a result of this disruption. The U.S. and Iran wrapped up high-stakes nuclear negotiations in Geneva without a big breakthrough as the threat of war looms. The next round of talks is set for next week. The U.S. has gathered a massive fleet of aircraft and warships in the Middle East preparing for potential military action. Global Affairs is warning all Canadians in Iran to leave. Prime Minister Mark Carney has arrived in India to start his three-country trade trip. Canada and India are expected to formally launch talks for a broad trade deal during this visit. CTV News has also learned officials are planning to sign letters of intent and memorandums of understanding on defense, critical minerals, and energy. The Prime Minister's trip comes as federal officials have reassessed India's involvement in foreign interference. They say it's no longer actively happening. Members of Canada's Sikh community disagree.
To tell communities who are continuing to live these realities that this connection somehow has magically disappeared is not reassuring. It is dishonest, it is insulting, and it is gaslighting at its highest level.
Earlier this week, Sikh activist Moninder Singh says he was warned by police about a credible threat to him and his family. He's convinced the threat is coming from India's government. Ottawa's public safety minister acknowledges there is still a lot more work to do to make sure foreign agents are not intimidating people living in Canada. Ottawa is pledging more than $1.5 billion in funding for Jordan's Principle, a legal principle that states children in First Nations communities must have equal access to social and health services. But as CTV's Alex Carpa reports, some say it doesn't go far enough.
In 2023, Kayla Thompson's son Hanlon was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease.
At that time, we didn't really know that it was a lifelong illness.
As Hanlon's condition progressed, so did the financial strain. His doctors prescribed a strict medical diet and specialized services costing over $1,200 a month. Thompson applied for help through Jordan's Principle, a federal program designed to prevent public service gaps for First Nations children, but was repeatedly denied.
Financially, I was in such a crisis because I was covering the costs of all of this stuff.
After 3 years of fighting to get her money back, she was finally reimbursed this month, but that came at a cost.
My credit is crap. My credit cards are maxed out.
On Thursday, the federal government announced a $1.55 billion investment in Jordan's Principle, funding the program through March 2027. One Manitoba Grand Chief welcomes the funding commitment, but says there's more work to be done.
We need to continue to make sure that the implementation of Jordan's Principle is complete.
Child welfare advocate Brittany Matthews warns funding alone won't fix the system, pointing to a backlog of 130,000 cases.
It's really scary to think about the number of kids who are waiting for needed services. You know, we're talking things like mental health support. We're talking about things like education supports.
As for Thompson, the funding sounds good on paper, but doesn't solve the problems she's faced.
They have made it extremely painful.
A system which she says has failed her family and many others. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The city's residential parking ban is continuing. Crews started plowing yesterday, and they'll roll through different zones until 7 Saturday night. You'll want to check the city's website, 311, or the Know Your Zone app to see where parking bans are in place. The overnight winter route ban is currently suspended, but will be back in place once the residential ban is over. If you think your street was missed, the city says you should wait until after the ban is lifted to report it, as crews may still return. Last Sunday's nail-biting gold medal hockey game was one for the ages, and it appears a lot of Winnipeggers didn't want to miss a second of the action. According to the city, Winnipeg water pumping stations were working into overtime too. Data suggests a lot of hockey fans took bathroom breaks essentially at the same time. It shows 3 significant spikes in water consumption that line up with the ends of the first, second, and third periods. That last spike just minutes before Canada lost in heartbreaking overtime fashion. Here's a look at what's happening now on Portage Avenue at Polo Park. Things are moving well over here to start off this Friday morning. If you see any issues out on the streets, please send us a text. Let's go now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live this morning at Artbeat Studio. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. February almost done. And why is it always the shortest month? Sometimes it can feel like the longest month. And it can feel even longer, especially when you're struggling with seasonal depression, the winter blues, and many mental health challenges that arise, particularly during this time of year. We are at Artbeat Studio, nestled in the 4th floor of Albert Street. It sees 8 artists in residence currently. They started back in January, and this is going to take them through the spring into the summer. These folks struggling with various mental health challenges, and it's about finding community. Not just the art, which is shown to help with those mental health challenges as well. We'll be chatting with an artist coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, but also finding friendship and fighting isolation. The exhibition in front of us, all about Tyler, 2 of the guys who were formerly in another one of the Artists in Residence programs, they got together and made this beautiful piece that you see in the entrance.
It is beautiful. I love the framing too. Okay, thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now. It's a mild start this morning.
It really is, and I'm entirely overdressed from where the temperatures are sitting currently, but not at all overdressed from where we're going to end up later today. I actually struggled a little bit to think of what jacket I should wear and what time I was going to leave the station before it was going to feel as cold as it will. Well, it's mostly the winds that are going to be increasing very quickly over the next few hours, and that's what's going to take the temperature down. Every now and then I'll see a snowflake out here. I wouldn't exactly call it snowing, but the possibility is there. Certainly snowier conditions expected through central Manitoba today. We're at the freezing mark right now, having risen from the last hour. So 0 degrees is where we're sitting with a 42k wind gusting out of the west. So that's already pretty noticeable, but those winds could double in speed yet. Pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 80%. Yes, up to 80k wind gusts are possible today. And with that, a blowing snow advisory in effect through much of southern Manitoba. I mentioned the snow through more of central Manitoba, but you remember yesterday, there's not much of it around anymore. We got all that really fresh snow. Oh, it doesn't feel quite as fluffy anymore, and that's because it's so mild, so it's kind of condensed a little bit, but still, blowing snow to be a factor through the south, actual snow through central Manitoba. For northern Manitoba, it's clear for you, incredibly cold. We're talking wind chill values close to -50 up north. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather is brought to you by Garage Masters, your complete garage specialists.
Good morning. A Manitoba company says city rules are preventing it from clearing snow early in the morning. Green Blade Lawn Care says it's been threatened with fines from bylaw officers for making noise outside of permitted times. But as CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, the issue isn't as simple as it sounds.
Green Blade Lawn Care also clears the white stuff from driveways. The company tries to get them done as early as possible so homeowners can get to work on time. But there's an obstacle in their way.
We've had noise complaints that have escalated to the point where they've threatened fines.
Owner Tim Muse says city bylaw officers have warned him about complaints. He's been told the company can't make noise with snow blowers before 7 a.m. and after 9 p.m. under the city's noise bylaw. But he believes there should be an exception for at least a couple of days after the snow falls.
Oh, you can't come outside when there's 3-foot drifts in your driveway and start shoveling away for 2 hours before you have to get to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, we have important people that in our society, like nurses, doctors, people who have to get to work.
There are exemptions after a storm. For example, crews clear city streets and sidewalks overnight. And city officials tell Councillor Janice Lukes there is flexibility for legitimate snow removal overnight, like clearing driveways. But prolonged idling and scraping sounds could still get you in trouble. And the bylaw says a person must not operate or permit the operation of a snowblower or similar device out of doors within 150 meters of a residential property before 7 a.m. and after 9 p.m. weekdays.
It does seem like a little bit of a gray area.
Lukes, who is also the chair of the city's Public Works Committee, says the city is looking at rewriting bylaws to simplify them with clear direction, suggesting this should be one of them.
Driveways aren't that large. How long does it take? We are a snow city. I would default to let the contractor do his work.
But there could be other homeowners who don't want to hear snowblower engines late at night or at the crack of dawn.
A few minutes of running the snowblower shouldn't be that big of a deal to endure. It's not like it happens every single day of the winter.
Jeff Keel, CTV News Winnipeg.
Winnipeg has a huge amount of green space, including more than 3,200 hectares of parkland, but not all of it is in good condition. In fact, a new report says it will cost more than $100 million to replace the assets that have reached the end of their useful life. The report says the city has 370,000 park, boulevard, and tree assets combined, and about 12% are in poor or very poor condition. It's going to cost about $42 million to replace the troubled assets in regional parks, and another $66 million for everything else. This figure doesn't include any problems with roads, underground structures, or retention basins. Mayor Scott Gillingham says the city is 150 years old, and it's a challenge to improve all the amenities and assets which are deteriorating.
And so we see that buildings in the parks, roads within parks, pathways within parks, even trees within parks, you know, they're all at a certain age now, and so the need for investment is significant.
Over the past 5 years, the city has spent between $9 and $17 million annually on investments in parks and open spaces. Entrepreneurs may have an easier time getting their ideas off the ground as the province announces some tweaks to its small business venture capital tax credit.
People have been sitting on the sidelines a little bit. The rules have been challenging for some potential investors.
The tax credit offers investors a 45% non-refundable credit against Manitoba taxes when they make investments into eligible companies. Among the changes announced Thursday, the minimum investment is dropping to $5,000, and the credit itself is growing by $8 million to $30 million. Additionally, the government will now recognize simple agreements for future equity, otherwise known as SAFEs, as eligible investments, and eligibility is expanding to include limited partnerships.
You're going to see that many more entrepreneurs able to build their companies here and not have to leave to go, because typically founders, you go follow the money. If you go get investment from a firm in Toronto, you're going to go build in Toronto. And by creating this pool of capital that can now be activated here, we allow for those founders to receive the benefits of building locally in Manitoba and stretch those dollars further, and we all benefit from that.
The changes take effect in April. There's a new recommendation now for children to have their cholesterol checked. The Canadian Pediatric Society is making the call, recommending all children between the ages of 2 and 10 years old get screened for their cholesterol numbers. The society says this is because plaque buildup in the artery starts in childhood and is a key driver of heart disease and stroke. A new study says about 1 in 300 people has high cholesterol caused by a genetic condition passed down through families. Experts say universal screening with a blood test will allow doctors to identify the condition early and begin treatment. It's a rough job, but someone's got to do it. RCMP are looking for help naming its newest police puppies. The Police Dog Service Training Center in Alberta is asking children to suggest names for 13 German Shepherd puppies, which will become future RCMP police dogs. Prizes will be given out for names chosen that start with the letter B. The contest is open to 4 to 14-year-olds. The deadline for entries is March 26th. So sweet. Here are some road closures to remind you about this morning. The westbound curb lane on Broadway will be closed between Edmonton and Kennedy Street. Following the rush, the north and southbound median lanes on Archibald Street will be closed at Denizet Street, and the northbound median lane on Hargrave Street will be closed from McDermott to Bannatyne Avenue. If you have any other traffic tips, send us a text, please.
Traffic is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Open late, ready when you are.
Oh my goodness, those little puppies, they could cast sail in the winds with those ears that they've got right now. So precious. The winds, though, you're going to notice them today. We're looking now through the Bathfitter Live Eye, brought to you. It's the CTV Live Eye brought to you by Bathfitter, and it's the exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. Even the camera out there is shaking a little bit. Those winds, they're going to be intense throughout the day today. They're only about half the speed that they could increase to, with about 40K winds gusting out of the north today. These temperatures, mild right now, will not stay here for long. But you can see that many of us are either at the freezing mark, or for some even in the plus digits. 2 degrees at the moment in the Portage area, Morden Winkler as well above the freezing mark. Some just below at -3 over in Brandon, -1 for Dauphin, Fisher Branch, and then starting to look through central Manitoba, and you're really beginning to see the difference in the minus double digits to mid-minus teens, or further into the north where it's clear, because we've actually got some heavier clouds over central Manitoba. But the clear conditions come with even even a bigger shock in the low to mid to high -30s, and that's before we're factoring in the winds. Now, I'd like to say a -44 wind chill is shocking, but then when you see -50s in the far northeast, suddenly that totally overshadows the -4. Either way, it's incredibly cold with extreme cold warnings in place across the north. It's a blowing snow advisory here across southern Manitoba due to these strong winds. They aren't really having too much of an impact right now to the temperature, and that's because it is so very mild. For now, that'll change with those temperatures expected to drop. Here's a look at what we're seeing on the satellite image right now. Still a little bit of lingering flurry activity and a lot of clouds through that more central stretch. We'll see mainly cloudy conditions throughout the day today and plummeting temperatures as the day goes on and the winds increase down to -14 perhaps by the time kids are coming home from school, even though +1 is our expected high, which we still could reach within the next hour before the temperatures start to drop. And once they do, staying cold all throughout the weekend, but improvements come next week as those temps return to normal. What an interesting colored squirrel this is. Not quite albino, but very, very pale and looking so adorable. Having a little snack out there on Wilfred's patio. Thanks for sending the picture to us, and keep them coming to Winnipeg Weather at CTV.ca. We're taking a break and we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Hey ho, it looks like Manitobans truly embraced the joie de vivre earlier this month. The final attendance tally for Festival du Voyageur is in. 70,051 people checked out the sights and sounds of Western Canada's largest winter festival over the 10 days. That's nearly 2,700 more visitors than last year. Much milder temperatures this year likely played a part in the attendance bump. This year's festival ran from February 13th to the 22nd at Whittier Park and other spots around St. Boniface. Manitobans are marking their calendars for another spectacle in the night sky. A total lunar eclipse will be visible across the province in the early morning hours of Tuesday, March the 3rd. CTV's Joseph Bernacki caught up with astronomy buffs waiting to capture another special moment through the lens.
Churchill-based photographer Drew Hamilton has been capturing the night sky for 27 years. When it comes to a lunar eclipse, he says there was nowhere else on Earth he'd rather be to capture those moments on film. He was able to shoot a time-lapse of this lunar eclipse last March.
The aurora held off right until the eclipse started, and then as soon as the moon started to disappear, the aurora just exploded.
Fast forward nearly a year later, Hamilton says he'll have another opportunity to relive that moment. A total lunar eclipse is expected to take place in the early hours of Tuesday, March 3rd. He says seeing the eclipse create a blood moon effect in color is something worth staying up for.
There are a lot of drinking coffee to stay up all night, telling stories while you're waiting for things to happen, and then it culminates with just this magical experience.
Kenton Dick will be watching the eclipse through a high-powered telescope. He launched the Pembina Valley Astro Club as a way for enthusiasts to connect with the night sky from Morden Winkler.
That curiosity and that draw of the night sky is definitely still there.
Astronomer Scott Young from the Manitoba Museum says Thursday marks a special day in provincial eclipse history. 47 years to the day where southern Manitoba basked in the glow of a rare total solar eclipse.
Brandon, Manitoba, otherwise known as the Wheat City, now the eclipse capital of Canada, and it will go into the history books as such.
During the total eclipse, you could look at it, and it blew my mind, and I immediately became an astronomer.
Young says while lunar eclipses occur more commonly than solar, an eclipse in March is special based on the moon's positioning at this time of year. He says seeing the moon move into the Earth's shadow takes time and gives stargazers plenty of opportunity to watch the process unfold.
A lunar eclipse, you can't help but be impressed by the beauty, the colors. A lunar eclipse reminds us that we are part of this ongoing celestial mechanics.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Weather depending, Scott Young says the best time to take in the peak of the lunar eclipse is between 4:30 and 5 a.m. on March the 3rd. Here's what's happening right now on the Provencher Bridge. It looks like things are moving well. No issues to tell you about at this point in the drive, but we're just starting this morning. So if you see anything, send us a text, please. We'll be right back.
Here we go with the cameras shaking first thing this morning. Those winds are nowhere near as strong as they're going to get, but they're already pretty intense. Out of the west, 42 kilometers per hour. That temperature, though, is 0 degrees, well above seasonal. We're well above not just overnight lows, daytime highs up around the freezing mark, and could even hit plus digits today. The pressure rising, the humidity sitting at 80%. Now, here's the thing. We could hit plus digits. We're just not going to stay there, and we're not going to even stay at what is normal for this time of year, with the mercury expected to slide quick and dirty right on down into the deep freeze. Is not going to be pleasant today, I promise you that. And a lot of it will have to do with the winds, which have prompted blowing snow advisories here across southern Manitoba. There's going to be snow falling through central Manitoba, but clear conditions up in the north. Don't think you're going to be enjoying the sunshine, not with minus 50 wind chill values in parts of northern Manitoba. Intense cold has prompted extreme cold warnings up north. And then, yes, while it's incredibly mild and we might still rise to 1 degree today, we're at 0 right now, I put that asterisk in there, indicative of the temperatures that'll be plummeting throughout the day today, ending up into the mid-minus teens, and it's all due to those intense northwest winds, at times gusting to 80 kilometers per hour. Still some strong winds overnight as we drop even further down to minus 27 with 50k winds gusting out of the northwest. And then tomorrow, lighter winds are expected, but we're just going to stay well below seasonal. A high of minus 18. Sunshine should return, though. It will look a whole lot brighter for the weekend, but it's not going to be a lot warmer Sunday. Still below seasonal. But next week, mercury rebounding, at least for Monday, and then holding in that kind of high minus single digits as we continue through most of the week.
Manitoba's election commissioner says the Progressive Conservatives didn't follow provincial laws when they campaigned at the Legislative Building ahead of the 2023 provincial election. A former provincial secretary with the now governing NDP filed a complaint alleging the Tory caucus used a room in the legislature for a partisan political event. Commissioner Bill Bowles' report says government workers were told the event was to engage with students and were assured no campaign activity would take place. However, the report says the co-chair and campaign director for the Tories made a presentation at the event which included partisan remarks about the upcoming vote and an invitation to become involved. The commissioner recommends the PCs work with government staff to come up with a price on renting the room that could be paid in a consolidated fund. A spokesperson for the party says it's reviewing the ruling. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is revealing his own ideas on trade, saying Canada shouldn't substitute the U.S. with China.
We should not declare a permanent rupture with our biggest customer and closest neighbor in favor of a strategic partnership for a new world order with Beijing.
In a speech to the Economic Club of Canada, Poilievre laid out how he would deal with the Trump administration if he was leading Canada. Poilievre says he would like to see a new tariff-free auto pact with the U.S., an end to sectoral tariffs, the revival of the Keystone XL pipeline, and a full exemption from Buy American provisions. Poilievre has also proposed a cross-partisan team to help with the CUSMA review, but it's still unclear if the government will accept the help.
The agreement is not very specific on what that review might be. It could be a half-an-hour meeting with Jamieson Greer and Secretary Ebrard and I. Everything's good, nothing to see here, let's keep going. It could be that.
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc says he can see a path to renew the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement and anticipates more specifics from the U.S. administration soon. Minister LeBlanc has now confirmed he will be meeting with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer in Washington next week. As some jurisdictions limit children's access to social media, Instagram is adding a new tool aimed at protecting teens who may be in need of some additional support. The social media app already has a number of options for parents to supervise teen accounts. Officials at Instagram have announced plans to notify parents if their teen repeatedly tries to search for terms related to suicide or self-harm within a short period of time. Parent company Meta says it's working to implement similar alerts based on teens' conversations with artificial intelligence tools. There is a heated rivalry brewing among two East Coast communities. At issue, which city can claim itself to be the birthplace of hockey? CTV's Paul Hollingsworth explains.
There is an intense Made in the Maritimes hockey rivalry brewing between two Nova Scotia communities. Windsor and Dartmouth both lay claims to be the place where hockey was invented in the 1800s.
These were found all back there.
Sports historian Danny Dill says there are essays and artifacts going back more than 200 years that prove hockey started in Windsor.
They were doing research in the 80s, and they come across this passage about two boys playing on Long Pond. It was 1816, 1818.
But according to historian David Jones, hockey was first played on this frozen lake in Dartmouth using these strap-on skates.
Oh yeah, this goes back to the earliest days of playing hockey on Lake Banook, on Oat Hill Lake, on Halifax Harbor.
The Nova Scotia legislature recently introduced Bill 187, an act to recognize Windsor as the official birthplace of hockey. When Jones found out, his reaction was...
I said, the Windsor what?
Jones's father, Martin, wrote a book about hockey's original roots beginning in Dartmouth and says there is rock-solid research to back it up.
It's undeniable. It's right here. It's in Dartmouth. And sadly, Windsor doesn't have a claim at all.
Dill's reaction to the suggestion hockey was first played in Dartmouth?
I'd say I'm sorry, no, it didn't. I mean, I really hate to say this. I have before, and I've got proof in here, documented proof.
Other places in Canada also claim to be the birthplace of hockey, including Montreal and Kingston, Ontario. Danny Dill says the historical evidence shows hockey started here in Windsor, Nova Scotia. People then introduced the sport to other parts of Canada, and he says there is no debate. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Windsor, Nova Scotia.
Canada's Paralympic team is headed to Italy. Canada is sending 50 athletes, including 19 who are making their Paralympic debut to Milano Cortina. They got a special send-off from Pearson Airport Thursday afternoon. Canada is competing in each sport at the Games, including para-alpine skiing, para-ice hockey, para-snowboard, and wheelchair curling. The 2026 Paralympic Winter Games run from March the 6th to the 15th. And let's take a look now at Main and Broadway. It looks like things are moving well starting off this Friday morning. Let's take a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.33. The provincial average is $1.28. In Winnipeg, the average is slightly higher at $1.30. And the lowest price in the city is $1.09. All this information is on gasbuddy.com. Coming up, Ainsley McPhail is live at Artbeat Studio. We're going to find out a little bit more about this art piece and what's happening coming up Friday, March the 6th. Stay with us.
Weather is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Open late, ready when you are.
Okay, it's so mild out here this morning that I feel a little bit ridiculous and overdressed having chosen the big parka today. I actually made this decision. I thought about it and I chose this jacket because where we're at right now, 0 degrees, we're not going to stay here. It is beautiful out here this morning, but it's already a little bit windy, those winds gusting to 42 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 80%. Now, I do have a lighter coat that I wear some days, but it's not great for winds and it's not great for cold weather, which we will be experiencing later today. I know it's incredibly mild, all of southern Manitoba up around the freezing mark, but central Manitoba is in the mid-minus teens and northern Manitoba is in the minus 30s, and those very cold temperatures will be ushered in with this very strong north wind that's going to increase throughout the day. We're seeing just a few flakes of snow, but central Manitoba will see a lot more. It's actually the clearest up in northern Manitoba, where extreme cold warnings have been issued. Here in the south is actually a blowing snow advisory that we're being warned about by Environment Canada. So lots to think about today, knowing those temperatures will be plummeting and staying cold throughout the weekend. Heading over to Ainsley McPhail now, who hopefully will put a smile on her face and distract us from the cold. Ainsley, what's up?
Well, we're going to beat the winter blues here at Artbeat Studio. Win Pham joins us, and she's the executive director. She's going to tell us all about what they do here. But first, how did it all start with Artbeat?
Yes, so Artbeat started in 2004, and the founders, the Barts, their son Nigel, one of our founders as well, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia at 19, and he discovered that doing pottery, doing art, and being artistic, really helped with his mental health. And he went back to university and he got a degree in fine arts, and through his path of being an artist, and also he became a proctor in the health field afterwards. He noticed that there were lots of people like him, and they were using creative ways to really help with their mental wellness. And so he approached his parents, had an idea about places where artists can just really be together and heal and really focus on their art to help with their mental health. And they created Artbeat.
And that reigns true today. You've got 8 artists in the residence program. What does that look like here at the studio?
Yeah, you know, so we're open 10 to 5. They're welcome to come in anytime. During that time, they make their own schedule. You know, we meet, we have like meetings, and they can really bond and kind of work together with their group. And many of them create lifelong friendships. People from the first group, you know, back in 2005, so that's like 22 years ago. Yeah, we have group 42 in right now, so it's been a while, and you know, they really bond and form that kind of friendship.
And beating isolation and building friendships.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, it's, you know, you're getting on the bus or you're in your car and you're driving, you're beating the winter blues to come see your friends at your studio. So
that must be a good feeling. We got lots of conversations. Don't worry, we're going to talk to the artists. We're going to see the art. More coming up on Your Morning Winnipeg.
Here's a look at the early markets. The Dow Jones fell 363 points. The Nasdaq lost 141. The S&P index is 37 points lower. The Canadian dollar had small gains, set to 73.16 cents U.S. Overseas, the Hang Seng added 249 points, and the Nikkei is 96 points higher. Good morning. It is 6:46. Police are asking anyone with information or video footage to come forward after a group of children were approached by a suspicious person Wednesday afternoon. It happened around 5 p.m. in the 100 block of Kinver Avenue. That's in the Tyndall Park area. Police say, according to the kids, a man in a light-colored vehicle, possibly a van, truck, or SUV, pulled up beside the group and offered them money and a ride. The vehicle was last seen driving westbound on Kinver. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Child Abuse Unit. The City of Winnipeg is looking to hire a consulting firm to oversee construction of a new permanent fire paramedic station in Waverly West. At the moment, fire and paramedic crews are working out of a temporary modular building. The city wants a consulting firm to handle the construction of a 3,100 square foot fire paramedic station. As part of the job, the winning bidder will oversee the design of the building, handle construction and contract administration, as well as some post-construction services. The contract is worth $550,000. The federal government has announced more than $1.5 billion to support Jordan's Principle, a legal principle which states First Nations children must have equal access to social and health services. The federal Indigenous Services Minister says the $1.55 billion will renew the program until March 2027. It comes amid a backlog advocates say has reached some 130,000 cases, and the minister is facing criticism for a 2025 directive which limited the scope of services covered by Jordan's Principle. The announcement was welcomed by local First Nations leaders. However, they also voiced concerns about what they describe as a lack of First Nations input in how the program is administered.
Our focus today is very simple. First Nations children deserve timely, equitable services without delays, denials, or uncertainty. This announcement helps us for now, but long-term change requires working together with First Nations to build the system our children deserve.
The principal is named after Jordan River Anderson of Norway House Cree Nation, who died at 5 years old, having never left the hospital because federal and provincial governments couldn't decide who should pay for his at-home care. It's National Eating Disorders Week. You've probably heard of conditions like bulimia and anorexia, but health experts are raising concerns about a lesser-known condition called orthorexia, which they say is quickly becoming more common.
We can't say that social media causes orthorexia, but it absolutely can add fuel to the flame.
Psychologist Casey Goodpaster says orthorexia is a disordered eating pattern defined by an obsession with consuming clean foods. It may start with a desire to be healthier, but over time rules become more strict and can lead to the elimination of entire food groups, guilt or anxiety over food, avoiding social situations which involve food, and spending excessive time researching or preparing meals.
Healthy nutrition should support your life. It shouldn't make you feel anxious, isolated, or pressured to eat perfectly.
Goodpasture says this can lead to nutrient deficiencies, hormonal changes, fatigue, isolation, or even bone loss and other medical complications. If you suspect a loved one has an unhealthy eating pattern, she says to have a compassionate conversation and encourage them to seek help. Showing up is important, and this example is sure to warm your heart. These grade 4 students in Salt Lake City have been constantly showing up to cheer on their high school basketball team, even traveling to away games. And then one day, a player on the high school team said he would come and watch the younger team play. The parents of the grade 4s say they were prepared for their children to be disappointed, doubting the player would really show up. But he did, and he brought the entire team with him, bringing so much happiness to the younger players. That's amazing. We have some road closures to remind you about this morning. The westbound curb lane on Broadway will be closed between Edmonton and Kennedy Street. Following the rush, the north and southbound median lanes on Archibald Street will be closed at Denizet Street, and the northbound median lane on Hargrave Street will be closed from McDermott to Bannatyne Avenue. If you see anything out there, send us a text.
All right, those roads are going to be messy this morning. The slush out there, the mess because of these very, very mild temperatures. But then expect them to be rutted up and frozen later on today as everything freezes all over again. Look at that camera, just shaking away in the winds. It's 0 degrees right now. Those west winds are gusting to 42 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising. The humidity is sitting at 80%. The winds will be intense today, and the temperatures will actually be plummeting. As mild as it is right now, we're going to be sliding right on down into the deep freeze this afternoon. I've seen a few flakes of snow so far this morning, but a little more active in areas just off to the north of us. However, blowing snow is likely to be an issue all throughout southern Manitoba. That's what Environment Canada is warning the southern half of the province about, is blowing snow. And then where it's clear up north, extreme cold. And you've got temperatures that will be struggling today. These are your daytime highs expected in the mid to high or mid to high minus 20s, low minus 30s. But we've been looking at wind chill values this morning in the far northeast. They're in the minus 50s or minus 40s for much of northern Manitoba. So throw those extra layers on or stay indoors if you can. Exposed skin can freeze incredibly quickly with those kind of temperatures and wind chill values in place. There will be a little more sunshine throughout northern Manitoba, as I mentioned, clear but cold. Moving into the more central stretch, that's where the heavier clouds and the snow will be falling, and then blowing snow with intense winds expected here through the south. But the mildest temperatures will be felt this morning here across southern Manitoba. For many of us, we could crack the freezing mark. +1 on tap for us today. Some could hit +2. We're not going to stay there, though, as the afternoon goes on. Temperatures sliding right on down into the deep freeze and then staying there all weekend long. Or maybe not the deep freeze all weekend long. Certainly for Saturday. Sunday is a slight improvement, and then a much bigger improvement once we're looking ahead to next week.
Thank you, Terry. Let's now check in with Gabby at Bounce 99.9. Good morning, Gabby. Happy Friday.
Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm flying solo. Bo is at home. He's probably watching. Sophie is. Hi, Bo. Hi, Bo. I miss you. And this week, we talked about a lot of things. One of them was the side of the bed that you sleep on. Because since I've known Justin, not that I was immediately sleeping at his house, but he always slept on the side closest to the door. Because if a murderer comes in, I want him to be able to grab that metal baseball bat he has under the bed and protect me.
Okay.
And we've all... Right? Oh, well, you know what? We have the bat, but he'll be ready. But that's how we've always done it. So we put out the question, do you have a side of the bed or even a side of the couch? How about you, Rochelle?
I always sleep away from the door as well, but I also can't sleep against walls because I'm slightly claustrophobic, so I can never be too close to the wall. So yes, I do have a side, and I also have a side because on one side of the bed there's stacks of books that of course belong to me, and on the other side my husband only has one book, and I couldn't handle just one book. So I know which, everybody who knows me knows which side of the bed I sleep on.
Sean's got to read more, I guess. And you know what, speaking of books, we were talking about being nerds, because I mean, I think I was just I had an awkward stage that lasted, like, it felt like 14 years.
Yeah.
But Bo said he was a nerd growing up. He fully had a little briefcase he would take to school, which is like the cutest thing ever. And he wears that nerd badge proudly. And I mean, it's cool to be a nerd now. Were you ever a nerd?
I kind of was. I spent a lot of time with my face in a book, and a lot of time in the library. So I guess back in the day, I would have been considered slightly a nerd, I guess. And I'm still reading today, so I guess so. I guess I'm always going to be a nerd.
And look at you now, a TV queen, bringing people the info they need to know.
Reading for a living.
Yeah, there you go.
Always a nerd.
Being a nerd pays, but you're not a regular nerd. You're a cool nerd, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. You too. Have a great weekend, Gabby. We'll see you next week. Canadian broadcasting legend Marilyn Dennis announced she is signing off from her longtime morning radio show. CTV's Michelle Dubé has the details.
It is -7 right now. -7. In the summer, it'll be +24. Hopefully. And this summer is when I'm going to celebrate my 40th anniversary living in this chum universe.
She's a morning radio icon, and today Marilyn Dennis surprised listeners.
40 years doing this morning show. 40 years. Isn't that amazing? I love it. I can't believe I'm saying that. But I also have to say something else. It's been a privilege, but I'm also going to step away this summer from this morning show and this station that I love.
After a historic radio career that started in 1976, she says it's time.
It's hard to leave when everything's going well, but I thought that was a good benchmark to say that's enough. And maybe some people feel the same way.
They know what makes you feel good.
Toronto talks about Roger, Rick, and Marilyn.
Her presence on Canadian airwaves groundbreaking. She says she got into radio because she wasn't hearing female voices.
I'm Edmonton born, but I was brought up in Pittsburgh because of my dad's work, and I used to listen to the top 40 radio stations. I thought, these guys are having fun, yes, and they play great music, yes, but I wasn't hearing any women.
She added her distinct voice to the mix and built a successful television career, too. Dennis signed off from her daytime TV show in 2023, honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Canadian Screen Awards the following year.
Love Marilyn. I absolutely love her from childhood. Great fashion and just been a wonderful person. Oh, I'm going to miss her. That sucks.
You are going to be so missed, Marilyn Dennis. You are chum and have been chum for 40 years. And I don't want there to be any tears.
She says even though it's her decision, it's not an easy one.
It's kind of like my routine for 40 years. For 40 years, waking up at what time?
Well, it depends.
2, 3 in the morning?
Today was 2:30. No sleeping in yet, though. Her final show will air sometime this summer with plenty of surprises along the way. Michelle Dubé, CTV News.
Oh, congratulations, Marilyn. Here's a look at what's happening now on Notre Dame Avenue. Things are picking up here, but moving well overall. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. It's Friday, February 27th. Today, stranded in Mexico, how some Winnipeg families are finally getting flights home after days of uncertainty. Plus, small biz boost. The province expands venture capital tax credit to spark new investment this April. And flush with fandom, how Winnipeg water use surged between periods during Canada's gold medal thriller. Your morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning, Manitoba. It is 7 o'clock on your Friday. Thank you so much for being with us. We finally made it to the end of the week. We are here, and
what a week
it has been. A week indeed. You got here
on Wednesday.
Yes,
listen, it's been
easy.
It's been a week.
It's been easy on you. Well, we have a lot in the next hour, including Korean Lunar New Year celebrations are happening tomorrow.
Oh, I love Lunar New Year.
It's going to be so fun. We're going to show you a little bit of a mini fashion show at 7:32, and then at 7:52, the Winnipeg Police Service has just launched a campaign. It's called Just Hang Up. We're going to find out why AI is getting more dangerous when it comes to scams. Well, let's talk about the weather. Waking up, it's going to be mild.
Yeah, I mean, it is mild out here. I'm wearing a parka, but I'm not zipping it up right now because these temperatures, they're well above seasonal. But the reason that I chose the parka today is because I know what's coming. Yeah, that's the perks of my job. Here's the thing. So 0 degrees, and then look at the way the camera is shaking. That's due to the winds out of the west right now, gusting to 42 kilometers per hour. That pressure is rising. The humidity is sitting at 80%. So what is coming? Well, blowing snow advisories have already been issued. These intense winds will cause the temperatures to plummet, and it's going to be a whole lot colder later on today. A few flakes of snow is what we're seeing out there, but it's more blowing snow that'll be an issue, and there across southern Manitoba is where the blowing snow advisory is in effect, with snow expected to fall through central Manitoba, and then where it's clear up in the far northern part of the province, extreme cold warnings. The temperatures that you're feeling this morning are in the low mid -30s, and wind chill values in the -40s, for some even -50 wind chill values. So no surprise that extreme cold warnings have been issued. And then, yes, the snow through central Manitoba and blowing snow here throughout the south with these very, very strong winds that are only half the wind speed that they'll likely get to today, at times gusting to 80 kilometers per hour. Now, overnight, clouds clearing out, and we're going to see a lot of sunshine tomorrow. But after these temperatures plummet, they really won't be on the rise. So Saturday will be incredibly cold, well below seasonal, and even Sunday, another below seasonal day. All of a sudden, by next week, this roller coaster ride is going to take us back up close to the freezing mark to kick off the week on Monday, before we see those temperatures settling in those mid to high minus single digits. And our art today is thanks to Cody Ann, 4 years old. What a pretty little pink snowman I shouldn't assume what you've drawn for us, but I love it anyway. Thank you, Cody Ann. And keep the art coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
The Weather Art of the Day is brought to you by 103.1 Virgin Radio.
Deteriorating road conditions caused by blowing snow have prompted a rural Manitoba school division to close schools today. The Lakeshore Division says the closure of all schools is based on the potential that snow could blow in later today, making back roads impassable. Some Winnipeggers remain stranded in Mexico, although it's been days since cartel violence shut down Puerto Vallarta. And while the situation has calmed down, some are still waiting with no word from airlines about when they can return home. CTV's Danton Unger reports.
Helicopters fly over the beach of the Mexican resort Keegan Sum and his family have been stuck at for the past 4 days.
Everyone is feeling quite stressed and anxious about what's going to happen in the next few days, whether or not we're going to get home.
They were supposed to fly home to Winnipeg on Sunday, but their Sunwing flight was canceled as cartel violence erupted in Puerto Vallarta. Since then, they've been left waiting with little information.
We haven't received official word from Sunwing via email in over 3 days.
CTV News reached out to Sunwing and was directed to contact WestJet, which, as of its latest update issued on Tuesday, says it's prioritizing passengers who had flights canceled on Sunday and Monday.
Our rep said there's still 44 people at this specific property from Winnipeg that are awaiting flights. So we know we're not alone in this.
This whole thing is just like a nightmarish process.
Andrew Parks is relieved to be back home in Winnipeg, but he says getting here came with a hefty price tag.
It cost me $6,000 to get for a one-way flight for a family of 5.
His family's WestJet flight was also canceled Sunday. The airline told him the earliest flight home would be March 3rd. He ended up booking a flight with Air Canada instead, but even then, he says seats disappeared quickly.
People are just clicking on the website and it's just a lottery to get people home.
As for Sum and his family still stuck in Mexico, they left this note in the sand at their resort. WestJet, send plane, por favor.
Everyone is quite anxious to come home.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
We have an update now on this story. Keegan Sum and his family have since found out from WestJet they'll be flying home this morning. Meantime, a WestJet spokesperson tells CTV News it has scheduled 12 additional flights to Puerto Vallarta to bring people home, and says it may add even more depending on demand. People who book through a travel agent or online booking agency are asked to contact them instead of WestJet. The airline also noted it will be reviewing all expense submissions incurred as a result of this disruption. BC Premier David Eby says there will be an inquiry into the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting.
I am committing on the record that we will use any tools available to ensure that all questions are answered about this tragedy.
The call for answers come as new information has surfaced about how the shooter got around being banned from ChatGPT. The shooter's account was banned over troubling posts on the platform. OpenAI revealed the shooter then made a second account, which was only discovered after the attack. The company says this troubling activity would have been flagged to police under its new safety policies. More than 2 weeks after the tragedy, some students returned to school for the first time.
Represents the absolute inky black depth of the center of darkness
and yet there's hope attached to it.
Classes are being held in portables, guarded by security stationed around the school site. The plan is for a gradual return for students. The school is planning to go back to a regular schedule on Monday. For now, students will have the choice to go in person, learn online, or have a mix of both. A U.S. permanent resident who was born in Edmonton has been held at a U.S. immigration detention facility for nearly 4 months. He's now speaking out, calling the conditions abysmal.
The food is horrendous. It's something I don't think my dog would take a second sniff at. I don't drink water from here without boiling it first. So it's finding ways to not stay sick.
Going without for 2 days on one bottle of water and a frozen waffle, having to sleep on a floor with no sleeping bags. They call it the ice box.
39-year-old Curtis Wright is currently detained at the South Texas Ice Processing Center. He was flagged at the airport in Houston while returning from a business trip to Mexico. His parents say the issue stems from a minor drug possession conviction dating back more than 2 decades when Wright was in high school. He's the father of 3 children, and his fiancée says it's been devastating for the family. They have filed a U.S. federal court challenge alleging unlawful detention, hoping to bring him home. Winnipeg has a huge amount of green space, including more than 3,200 hectares of parkland, but not all of it is in good condition. In fact, a new report says it will cost more than $100 million to replace the assets that have reached the end of their useful life. The report says the city has 370,000 Park Boulevard and tree assets combined, and about 12% are in poor or very poor condition. Is going to cost about $42 million to replace the trouble assets in regional parks and another $66 million for everything else. This figure doesn't include any problems with roads, underground structures, or retention basins. Mayor Scott Gillingham says the city is 150 years old, and it's a challenge to improve all the amenities and assets which are deteriorating.
And so we see that buildings in the parks, roads within parks, pathways within parks, even trees within parks, you know, they're all at a certain age now, and so the need for investment is significant.
Over the past 5 years, the city has spent between $9 and $17 million annually on investments in parks and open spaces. Here's a look at the current traffic situation now along Kenniston Boulevard. It looks like things are slowly picking up in this part of the city and overall moving quite well. We have no issues to tell you about at this point in the drive. If you do see any issues out there, please send us a text.
Netflix has dropped out of the fight to buy Warner Brothers, clearing the way for rival bidder Paramount Skydance to clinch its $111 billion deal for the historic Hollywood studio. The streaming industry leader said that while it believed its deal would have passed muster with regulators and created shareholder value, it didn't want to keep bidding. Jack Dorsey's Block is cutting 4,000 employees, reducing its workforce by nearly half, in a move the financial technology firm is describing as a bet on artificial intelligence changing the future of labor productivity. Dorsey, the company's co-founder, said in a call with analysts that he believes many companies will ultimately have to make similar moves due to AI. I don't think we're early to this realization, he said. I think most companies are late. Those are your morning business headlines. For B&M Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
Let's go back now to the Artbeat Studio where Ainsley McPhail is live this morning. Playing with paints and doing something artsy can really put your mind at rest and take your mind off some of the difficult things in your life. Ainsley, tell us more about what's happening there.
No doubt, Rochelle. And art has been known to really help folks dealing with mental health struggles. Here at Artbeat, the Artists in Residence program sees 8 artists through this term over an extended period of time. So they started back in January. They're going through to the spring and summer. Here's some examples of a former, I'll say, not student because they already know what they're doing, but a former student of the game, all about Tyler. And he did this with a friend who he met through Artbeat. And that's the beauty of this with mental health as well, is the connections that you make, the connections you're able to build. We're going to chat about the program, and we're also going to chat with Grady, who's currently in the program.
Okay, thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now. The wind today, Terry, is not going to be fun.
No, it's not at all. You know, the last time I was out here, I had this parka unzipped, and I was like, oh, it's so pleasant. What a silly choice of jacket. Not that it was a silly choice. I made it consciously because I knew it was going to get cold. But stepping out here now, even though the temperature is on the rise, I think that needs an update there. Anyway, it's 1 degree right now, and I'm zipping up the coat. I'm feeling things a little bit chillier. The winds are still very, very strong, and the temperatures, yes, they're going to be dropping off throughout the day today. We got some heavier clouds hanging around right now, and those likely will be lasting through the day. We could be seeing a few scattered flakes of snow as well. It's central Manitoba that'll be seeing more of that system of snow falling throughout the day. And then for northern Manitoba, the conditions are clear. Expect plenty of sunshine and frigid temperatures with wind chill values in the -50s this morning across the north, or high -40s. You've got extreme cold warnings in place. Here in the south, it's actually a blowing snow advisory. Even though it's very, very mild, those winds at times today could gust to 80 kilometers per hour, and it's going to drive those temperatures down. So even though we may have cracked the freezing mark now, sitting at +1, it's going to get colder. We could be ending up in the mid-teens this afternoon.
Weather is brought to you by Strictly Amish, exclusively in Arborg, Manitoba.
It's time now for a question of the day. Today is National Pokemon Day, a worldwide phenomenon. So we'd like to know, what were your favorite cartoons as a kid? Was Pokemon one of them? You can text your answer to 10400. Make sure to follow the automated instructions so we can feature your response. And don't forget to include your name, please. At Your Morning Winnipeg, we're all about celebrating your amazing pets, furry, feathered, or scaly. Your Pet of the Week submissions are amazing. We want more, whether it's dogs, cats, birds, or any other pet pals. Please send them our way. Drop your pet photos and a fun little story about them to petoftheweek@ctv.ca, and then catch us every Thursday to find out if your pet is our Pet of the Week on Your Morning Winnipeg. Here's a look at the drive now on Taché Avenue. It looks pretty smooth so far in this part of the city. We're taking a break. We'll be right back. Good morning. Entrepreneurs may have had an easier time getting their ideas off the ground as the province announces some tweaks to its small business venture capital tax credit.
People have been sitting on the sidelines a little bit. The rules have been challenging for some potential investors.
The tax credit offers investors a 45% non-refundable credit against Manitoba taxes when they make investments into eligible companies. Among the changes announced Thursday, the minimum investment is dropping to $5,000, and the credit itself is growing by $8 million to $30 million. Additionally, the government will now recognize simple agreements for future equity, otherwise known as SAFEs, as eligible investments, and eligibility is expanding to include limited partnerships.
You're going to see that many more entrepreneurs able to build their companies here and not have to leave to go, because typically founders, you go follow the money. If you go get investment from a firm in Toronto, you're going to go build in Toronto. And by creating this pool of capital that can now be activated here, we allow for those founders to receive the benefits of building locally in Manitoba and stretch those dollars further, and we all benefit from that.
The changes take effect in April. The city's residential parking ban is continuing. Crews started plowing yesterday, and they'll roll through different zones until 7 tomorrow night. You'll want to check the city's website, 311, or the Know Your Zone app to see where parking bans are in place. The overnight winter route ban is currently suspended, but will be back in place once the residential ban is over. If you think your street was missed, the city says you should wait until after the ban is lifted to report it, as crews may still return. Last Sunday's nail-biting gold medal hockey game was one for the ages, and it appears a lot of Winnipeggers didn't want to miss a second of the action. According to the city, Winnipeg water pumping stations were working into overtime too. Data suggests a lot of hockey fans took bathroom breaks essentially at the same time. It shows 3 significant spikes in water consumption that line up with the ends of the first, second, and third periods. That last spike just minutes before Canada lost in heartbreaking overtime fashion. Here's a look at what's happening now on Osborne Street. Things are moving well here so far, starting off this morning. If you see any issues out there, please send us a text.
Traffic is brought to you by the Kidney Foundation. Help by donating your car today.
In entertainment, there's been no shortage of excitement around heated rivalry since the debut of the steamy hockey romance. And now we know when the highly anticipated second season is set to debut.
We didn't know we were going to sell this show. We didn't know anybody was going to watch it. I had not written a second season. I did not know I was going to get a second season, but it's all happening. We're writing it now. We're getting ready to start shooting this summer, and there will be more heated rivalry on your TVs truly as soon as humanly possible.
Heated Rivalry is produced by CTV's Bell Media partner Crave, and it's attracted a major fan base across the globe. Season 2 is expected to hit screens in April 2027. Rachel Reed, the author of the original Game Changers book series, has said the next title will be out soon afterwards in June 2027. It's showtime, and Johnny Cage is getting the hero treatment.
You want to know what makes a hero? It's not destiny.
This is the official trailer for the second installment of Mortal Kombat, the blockbuster video game franchise. It follows the journey to the ultimate battle to defeat Shao Kahn. Carl Urban stars as Johnny Cage. Mortal Kombat 2 hits theaters on May the 8th. This animated film has reached a box office record.
Snake has set foot in Zootopia in forever.
Hops and Wild.
Wild and Hops. The dream team.
Zootopia 2 has surpassed a Minecraft movie to stand as the highest growing domestic release of 2025. It has earned $424 million US. The sequel was released almost a decade after the original. And Luke Grimes returns as Casey Dutton in an upcoming Yellowstone spinoff.
Montana's been infiltrated by the most violent criminal network in this hemisphere. Where's the deal going down?
Just over the Wyoming border, a place called the Zone of Death. Marshal Seals Dutton pulled from ranch life into law enforcement when a former Navy SEAL friend recruits him to a small team of U.S. Marshals in Montana. It's also going to bring back some familiar faces from Yellowstone. The show debuts March 1st on CBS and streams on Paramount+. Your Friday primetime lineup will have Happy's Place and Stumble at 7. Battle of the Generations follows at 8, and Boston Blue starts at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV. All right, Terry, we are here. The weekend is finally here. Woo. But it's going to be an ugly Friday.
You're right about that, but it's going to be Friday, so yes. Whatever. I mean, you're right, though. It is going to be pretty nasty, mostly due to the winds. We're looking now through the CTV Live Eye, brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. So you can see the heavy clouds that we're waking up to this morning. Sun is up now, but it's already behind those clouds, and we won't be seeing much of that sunshine today. We still could see maybe a few scattered flakes of snow, or more so blowing snow. That's the advisory that Environment Canada has issued for much of southern Manitoba, but you can see just how incredibly mild of a start to the day it is. 1 degree for us here in Winnipeg, 2 in the Morden Winkler area. We've got Portage and Gimli coming in at 3 degrees, just barely below freezing over in Brandon right now, and mid-minus single digits for places like Thompson, Fisher Branch. Further into more of central Manitoba, where there will likely be more active snow falling, we're into those minus double digits or high minus teens, and then further north yet, this is where it's actually quite clear, and the sun will be shining across the most northern part, and clear equals cold. As you can see this morning, low to mid to high minus 30s, and that's before we're even factoring in the winds. Wind chill values making it feel like minus 54 in Churchill. Those extreme cold warnings have been issued all across northern Manitoba. You can see mid to high minus 40 or low minus 50, mid minus 50 wind chill values. Here in the south, it's going to be very windy, but it's so incredibly mild that the wind doesn't really have too much of an impact. However, it likely will, kicking that snow around and creating that blowing snow, which is why the advisory has been issued. Now, it's also going to drive our temperatures down from -2 as kids get settled into the classroom, lunchtime -10, and down to -14 by the time they're headed home from school today. That'll put us below seasonal, even though we're starting the day well above, and then staying stuck in the deep freeze throughout the coming weekend. Plenty of sunshine to enjoy, and the warm-up will wait for us on the other side of the weekend when we're climbing up close to the freezing mark once again. And this cute and adorable little squirrel, and such a unique color-coded, spotted in Wilfred's patio, says he visits daily, so how precious is that? Keep the photos coming to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
February 27, 1977. Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards was arrested in Toronto on heroin possession charges. He was eventually found guilty. In lieu of a jail sentence for Richards, the Rolling Stones played 2 benefit concerts in Oshawa, Ontario for the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. February 27, 1997. An Ontario court granted Eaton's bankruptcy protection from its creditors. The 127-year-old department store chain had more than $300 million in debts. When restructuring failed, Eaton's was declared insolvent and began liquidation in August 1999. February 27, 2025. Manitoba becomes the first province to officially join the federal government's pharmacare program. Health Minister Mark Holland made the announcement in Winnipeg. The deal, which would pay Manitoba $219 million over 4 years, would help cover the cost of birth control and diabetes medications, as well as hormone replacement therapy for menopause. Hey ho, it looks like Manitobans truly embraced the joie de vivre earlier this month. The final attendance tally for Festival du Voyageur is in. 70,051 people checked out the sights and sounds of Western Canada's largest winter festival over the 10 days. That's nearly 2,700 more visitors than last year. Much milder temperatures this year likely played a part in the attendance bump. This year's festival ran from February 13th to the 22nd at Whittier Park and other spots around St. Boniface. It's a rough job, but someone's got to do it. RCMP are looking for help naming its newest police puppies. The Police Dog Service Training Center in Alberta is asking children to suggest names for 13 German Shepherd puppies, which will become future RCMP police dogs. Prizes will be given out for names chosen that start with the letter B. The contest is open to 4 to 14-year-olds. The deadline for entries is on March 26th. And it's time now for this week's adorable adoptables. We begin with Scarlett, a 2-year-old sweet and incredibly friendly dog who loves nothing more than sharing cuddles and giving kisses. Her friendly nature makes her the perfect companion for anyone. Next up is Patty. The 6-month-old loves to make new friends, both human and canine, and is happy and confident. She's ready to receive a true love care. And meet Nucleus, a really special cat. This 3-year-old beauty is a bit introvert, but she'll build trust with time. Nucleus can't wait to find out if you are meant to be. If you think you can offer any of these animals a good home, just head down to the Winnipeg Humane Society or give them a call. The number is there on your screen. All right, coming up, Ainsley McPhail is live at Artbeat Studio. We're going to find out how art is helping to beat the winter blues. Stay with us. Let's go back now to Artbeat Studio with our Ainsley McPhail. They have the Artist in Residence program there. Tell us more about that.
Good morning. Good morning, Manitoba. Yes, the Artist in Residence program allows folks dealing with mental health struggles to work with other individuals here and their art as well. Lisa O'Byrne joins us to tell us all about it. Good morning. This time of year is challenging for all of us, but especially those with seasonal depression, for example.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of our folks here experience, including staff. So what we notice is as soon as it gets colder, as soon as it gets darker, attendance starts to, people come in a little bit later. Sometimes people start to miss days. But one of the cool things about our program is that we notice that. So they might get a call or a text or like, hey, can you shoot me an emoji? Just let me know that you're okay. And that we say, whatever state you're in, just come on in. Just come on in. If you need to come in and have a nap for 4 hours, that's okay. We're happy you're here. Get out of the house.
And why does that piece, just the getting out of the house, really help people?
I love that question. And I think part of it is we try really, really, really hard here to create a judgment-free space. So you can come like you haven't had a shower in 5 days and you smell rank. We're like, you know what? Honestly, we're just glad you're here. So I think there's an acceptance of no matter where you are in your mental health, you belong here.
Well, I love that too, because we talk about the stigma, but not everybody's living out, right? The program itself, how does it work?
So we have 8 studio spaces, and we provide free studio space to up to 8 adult artists at a time. They're here from January to June or from July to December, working on their own art. And then at the end of the residency, we put on a big art show open to the public and to really celebrate all the stuff they've been working on.
they're talented artists as well.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's inspiring me like as an artist every single day, and I think, oh my gosh, I have so many more ideas because of you.
So. Almost out of time, but people can purchase their art.
Yes, you can go online to artbeatstudio.ca, or you can check out our boutique on the second floor of Portage Place.
The best way to give back during those Manitoba winter months. We all feel it sometimes. Back to you, Rochelle.
Yeah, and we're certainly going to be feeling it today, even though you could be fooled looking outside and noticing that we're sitting at 1 degree with a few clouds, but still well above seasonal temperatures, plus digits to kick off the morning, though it's not going to stay that way. Those winds out of the west are 36 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity sitting at 79%. We've already got the heavier clouds all through central and southern Manitoba, and even a little bit of scattered snow, maybe heavier through central Manitoba, but blowing snow is going to be in effect today. We've got an advisory as a result of these intense winds. Now, how clear it is up across northern Manitoba, it's going to be incredibly cold, and as a result, extreme cold warnings have been issued for by Environment Canada for the northern part of the province, where those wind chill values are going to make it feel in the mid-minus 50s this morning, and still in the mid to high minus 40s, even once you're reaching your expected high, which is going to be in the low minus 30s. So you can see these temperatures shocking, but a little more sunshine expected across the most northern part before you're running into the heavier clouds and the snow that's expected through much of central Manitoba. Further into the south, maybe a few flakes of snow, but it's more winds that are going to be an issue. And while the temperatures are looking incredibly mild, sure, that's the case this morning, but that won't be the case this afternoon. The temperatures are actually going to be falling off throughout the day and ending up in the minus double digits to mid-minus teens and well below seasonal, as these winds will at times be gusting to about 80 kilometers per hour. So intense winds, maybe some scattered snow, but more blowing snow to be the issue today. And then once we're falling into the deep freeze, well, we're going to stay there all throughout this coming weekend. So temperatures for a Saturday example, minus 18, that's the high temperature. A normal low would be around minus 15, so we're not even going to make it to those low temps, never mind the seasonal daytime highs that would have us around minus 5. Now, the weekend looks cold, plenty of sunshine, mercury on the rise, though, for Monday, and we're suddenly up around the freezing mark before through the rest of the week we settle in those minus single digits.
Thank you, Terry. Manitoba's Korean community is getting ready to celebrate the Lunar New Year. The first ever Seollal Korean Lunar New Year event sold out last year. And this year will feature cultural dances, music, and Korean heritage. Right now, there are still tickets available. Joining us now is the event's organizer, Eun-ji Lee, and models we have Jeremy and Jess to show us traditional clothing. Good morning to all of you. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, tell us a little bit about what the Lunar New Year means for the Korean community.
Of course, Lunar New Year is Seollal in Korean, and it's about family and gratitude and like really the new beginnings. And growing up in Korea, it was always about families and a lot of laugh and fun, so we wanted to celebrate it together.
And you last year you held a special celebration, and it was very popular. You sold out. You're having another celebration this year. It's open to the public, right?
Yes, it is open to the public, and you know, last year was very successful, and we wanted to add more elements to it, you know, like activities, the things that you can do as family and friends, so you can, you know, even if you came last year, you're going to have lots of fun.
Okay, so let's talk about what you're wearing, because you look beautiful, first of all.
Thank you.
What is this called?
This is called hanbok. This is Korean traditional clothing.
Okay.
So it was like everyday wear in the past, but
like
nowadays,
hundreds of years ago, you mean?
Yes,
yeah.
Joseon Dynasty. But nowadays, people will wear it for special occasions like Lunar New Year and weddings.
Okay, well, the color is stunning.
Thank you.
The gentlemen here are also wearing special outfits. Tell us a little bit about what they're wearing.
Okay, so the green emerald look is probably for like someone of the higher status in Joseon Dynasty as well. You can see that there's cut on his head. Have you seen K-pop Demon Hunters?
Yes.
Yeah, we saw that element in the animation as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think I remember this from the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, And then the other one is more royal, right?
It is. Actually, he would be the king of Joseon Dynasty, and look at the elements and like a lot of embroidery, which shows like your status and like symbol of the country.
That is incredible. Okay, well, let's talk about Korean culture, because it seems that, you know, skincare, there's K-pop, Demon Hunter, like you said, and so many K-pop bands that are really popular right now. What do you want to convey at your celebration tomorrow when it comes to celebrating your culture?
Well, first of all, we're really grateful and still astonished with how K-culture is just like picking up here.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing, and also we want to like let people know that we have like such a rich and diverse culture. It's not just about K-pop or kimchi or someone whatever else that you know about, and you know we have a lot of like family events and like this tradition, so it'll be like a more generation thing.
Okay.
That people can enjoy.
You brought some pieces here as well. What did you bring here? Tell us what these are.
Okay, so this is called Yunnori. It's like Korean traditional dice game. So on Lunar New Year, people would like gather together and play it as a family or friends. It's a lot of fun.
So will there be some of this happening at the events tomorrow?
Yes, of course. We'll have all of this at the event as well. And we have like some decorations like this. And this is actually very funny. It's called Bokjumani.
Okay.
And for Lunar New Year, you will say like Happy New Year for your elderlies, and they give you little pocket money in there for good luck. Yeah.
Look how beautiful this is.
I know. Yeah, it's very beautiful combination of colors.
It is indeed. Okay, so tomorrow at the celebration, it's open to the public. Where is it happening, and what do you want people to know about it?
So it's gonna happen in Manitoba Museum, Holloway Hall. It's actually tomorrow. So you know, whoever didn't make any plans for the weekend, I think it'll be a great event. And it actually happens from 2. So from 2, it'll be open to the public. It's free for anyone who wants to come and join and like check out. From 2 to 6, we'll have this cultural booth. You can see all these games and cultural booth, and we'll have K-beauty demonstration as well, and photo booth, and a lot of different stuff. And from 6 to 9, we'll have performances, and you can have also dinner there as well. Dinner is included in the ticket.
So it's a whole day thing, and you'll have fun, you'll be entertained, and you'll get to eat as well and take a look at these beautiful garbs. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, models. All right, taking a look outside right now. It is 1 degree, it's cloudy, and the wind is starting to pick up as well. We'll be back after this short break.
Well, look at that. Pretty. I mean, sure, we've got maybe too many clouds for one's liking, but the way they glow with the sun rising behind them, it does look pretty stunning out there. It feels pretty good, too, sitting at +1 right now, well above what you would expect this time of year. However, we're not going to stay there for long. The winds are already strong out of the west, 36 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity sitting at 79%. Now, the clouds will likely stick around, mainly cloudy conditions through central and southern Manitoba, and you can see even some scattered snow. Well, it's not just going to be the falling snow. Blowing snow will be a major factor today, especially across southern and parts of central Manitoba, where Environment Canada has issued blowing snow advisories. Now, the warnings that they've issued for northern Manitoba, where it's very, very clear, it's going to be sunny but incredibly cold, and you're waking up to wind chill values in the -50s this morning, or mid to high -40s across much of northern Manitoba. And with those kind of extreme temperatures and wind chill values, exposed skin can freeze very, very quickly. So please heed those warnings and be safe. We're very mild here in the south for now, but it's not going to stay that way. +1, and I put that asterisk in there, indicative of the temperatures that'll be falling throughout the day today. The winds at times could be gusting to 80 kilometers per hour as those temperatures fall right on down into the mid to high -teens this afternoon, and then dropping into the high -20s overnight. Still with those strong winds tonight, but tomorrow they should ease. Lighter winds but colder temperatures, and a lot more sunshine expected. Now, the weekend will kick off kind of with deep freeze temperatures, rising somewhat by Sunday, but still well below seasonal. However, Monday, the mercury keeps soaring and will be up around the freezing mark before the mercury then settles into those mid to high single digits as we continue through the rest of the week.
Thank you, Terry. Let's go now to Ainsley McPhail. We're talking about Artbeat Studio, the important work they do there, and you're going to introduce us to one of the artists. Good morning.
Good morning. I took one look at this art for the first time and I said, holy, because it is immaculate. Honestly, truly magnificent stuff. Can't even get the words out. Grady, good morning. Thank you for being here. There's a piece of history next to us. Tell us all about it.
This is actually a picture, 1922, of some relatives of mine, my grandmother's dad's first cousins, and it's actually where I'm from.
Well, it relates back to that image, so you're recreating it. Tell us about the history behind it.
These are actually people from where I'm from. They wanted to revitalize ceremony, and I just want to do a piece, kind of memory of them. So.
And there's some other details, not just the faces, the tree and the corn, for example. Tell us about that.
The corn is like my childhood memory of cornfields. There's a cypress tree from the swamps and stuff from where I'm from. I'm actually trying to do a little bit of things, you know, historical and parts of my memory and stuff from where I'm from.
So pretty. And I almost want to, here, I'll move this out a little bit more too. The details of just a pencil drawing. How long did this take you?
It actually took me, I think, about a week and a half right now. So I think I'm pleased with it right now.
No doubt. And what was the inspiration?
Actually, someone here liked it, and they wanted a piece that was created by me, so they kind of gave me that idea of a waterfall coming from, you know, the heavens. So,
has the art really helped with the mental health component?
Yeah, it's it's actually helped quite a bit. I mean, for about a year and a half, I've been creating, and it keeps me, you know, focused on, you know, something I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm. And keeping that accountability piece.
Well,
going back to something over and over.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Okay, this isn't the last you'll see of this guy's work. I'm absolutely sure of it. Thank you.
There are concerns over cosmetic and skincare routines being marketed to very young children. It's already a multi-million dollar business. ABC's Hannah Bada reports.
This morning, the debate over how young is too young for makeup. According to the Wall Street Journal, cosmetic companies are increasingly marketing their products to children born after 2010. But it's not just young teenagers turning to makeup. It's kids, 6 years old or younger.
These kids are growing up watching Get Ready With Me videos, skincare routines, and Sephora hauls on YouTube and TikTok. And of course, they see their mothers, older siblings, influencers, and mimicry is developmentally normal at this age.
Brands such as Clean Naturals, which sells low pigment makeup aimed at children between 5 and 7 years old, says they've seen significant growth since 2024. And skincare company Ever Eden, which markets moisturizers and other skincare products for kids as young as 3, reported about $100 million in annual sales.
For some families, it really is framed as dress up, self-expression, or even bonding time. But many experts are worried about that appearance obsession, anti-aging messaging trickling down.
As for skincare routines, while manufacturers insist their products prioritize safety and wellness over anti-aging, many medical experts and parents worry early exposure to skincare regimens could foster a premature obsession with physical appearance.
Ask your kids, why do they want this makeup? What do they like about it? Is it just to be creative, or is it something deeper? Is it tied to their self-worth? And then you have to also set boundaries. Decide, if this is something that is special occasions only, or if you're going to let your child wear it daily, or if it's something that just happens during playtime at home.
Hannah Bata, ABC News, New York.
Let's see who's celebrating a milestone today. Happy 17th birthday, Ryden from the Hunt family in Winnipeg and the gang at North 40 Ranch, and Buddy, of course. Happy 17th birthday, Mika from family and friends. Happy 60th birthday, Greg. Love your wife, Kim, daughter, Katrina, and all your family and friends. Happy 6th birthday, Emery and Lincoln. Love Grandpa and Grammy. Happy 32nd birthday, Romana, with love from family and friends. Happy 7th birthday, Solvi Rose, from your family. Happy 10th birthday, Hunter, love from Nana, Papa, and Dad, who call you the Fish Master. Happy 34th birthday, Tyler, from family and friends. Happy 11th birthday, Joshua, love Dad, Mom, and Michaela. Happy birthday, Gwen, love Mom, Stan, and family. And a happy 14th birthday to Emma, love Grandma and Grandpa. Happy 10th anniversary, Paul, from your wife. Happy birthday, Dulis, love Papa, Mom, and sister Cherish. Happy double digits, Stevie, Grandma and Grandpa wish you a super day. Happy 5th birthday, Cammie, love Mom, Dad, Kira, our pets, and the rest of our family. And a happy 80th birthday to Annette, with best wishes from family and friends. To submit your milestone, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form at least 2 days in advance. It'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to Party Stuff.
Milestones is brought to you by Party Stuff, Winnipeg's balloon headquarters with 3 locations.
Weather is brought to you by Blinds Are Beautiful. Our new Hunter Douglas showroom is at 900 Lorimer.
All right, temps today will be all over the place. 1 degree, our expected high, is not going to stay like that. Now, a normal high for this time of year will be about -5. Last year, 2.8. We could get close to that number today if we rise another degree or so. That record, though, back in 1924, 7.8 degrees. We're not going to get that warm before these temperatures take a bit of a turn, and they certainly will. In fact, they're going to be sliding big time this afternoon. Right now, we're waking up to some heavier clouds. There's been a few flakes of snow, not much though, but it's more the blowing snow that'll be a factor throughout much of southern and parts of central Manitoba, because these winds, they're right now 36 clicks out of the west, but later today they could be gusting to about 80 kilometers per hour. That is an intense wind, kicking around some of that fresh snow that fell yesterday. Thankfully, yesterday's temperatures were warm enough that some of that snow kind of compacted down as it melted a little bit, so it's not quite as fluffy as it was yesterday. That would have been wicked with those winds, but we'll still see how, yeah, you can see these winds are certainly increasing. Northern Manitoba, let's talk about your zone, because it's clear, sunshine, it's going to look good, it's going to feel frigid, extremely so with extreme cold temperatures or extreme cold warnings that have been issued across northern Manitoba, as you're dealing right now with wind chill values in those low to mid -50s, where exposed skin can freeze in a matter of minutes. So be safe, maybe stay indoors. Here in the south, hang on to your hat.
Police are warning Manitobans about the growing issue of artificial intelligence-generated phone scams. The scams include fraudsters imitating the voices of loved ones, claiming to be in distress, and then asking for money. The Winnipeg Police Service is asking you, if you ever get a call like this, to just hang up. Joining us now from the WPS are Sergeant Aaron Bork and Constable Danny McKinnon. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, AI, it's obviously out there, and it's being used by the bad guy, right? How so?
It's getting more and more sophisticated. So whether they are capturing voices of loved ones or people you know, this is how they create a connection with you so that you believe that this is authentic, and then act quickly.
Okay, so what does it look like, this scam? You get a phone call?
So this particular scam, and I just want to say that this is just an iteration of many, many broader scams that are out there.
Okay.
This is called the emergency or the grandparent scam, where an older adult will get a phone call and they believe it's an authority figure, such as police, jail or court member, or their own grandchild, and they're saying they need help, they've been in an accident, they've been arrested, they need money, and they need it really quickly.
And they're asking this person to send cash how?
Well, they'll make it really easy. We'll send a courier and pick it up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then they do that, and then they realize, wait, something's fishy here.
Well, unfortunately, many of the victims in this fraud don't realize it until afterwards, because they're often sworn to secrecy, so they're not doing the verifications with their family members to see if this is indeed a real emergency situation.
Aaron, what's the most concerning thing about this for you?
The concerning thing is just how, the reach and the fact that everybody knows someone, including my own parents, that have been victims of a scam. And one of the things that we're trying to do from a police perspective is spread awareness, you know, and one of the things that we're doing is doing a number of presentations throughout the community. We've done several presentations already. We're doing presentations with community groups, senior organizations, private and public stakeholders, and we're just trying to get the word out there and trying to get folks to know that they're out there and there is support available, and yeah, awareness is key.
Okay, so the campaign is called Just Hang Up. So literally, you're on the phone with these people. You think maybe it might be your grandson, maybe. You want people to just hang up and do what?
We want them to pause, take control of the call, hang up, then verify, do the verification process with your family to see if this is actually legitimate, and then make a report. Whether you've been defunded or not, make a report, and there's a number of different avenues to do that, online police or through the CAFC, which is the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. And I would be remiss in saying we're not running this campaign by ourselves, Rochelle.
Okay.
We are in partnership with A&O, Support Services for Older Adults, community agency that is very familiar with dealing with the wellness aspect for protecting seniors and older adults in the community.
Because they see it so often.
Yes, they do.
Something has to be done to stop this. And so how much money are we talking about is being pilfered from people?
Well, the 2024 stats I can provide for you. So in 2024, Manitobans 60 and older lost $350,000. That doesn't sound as much, but we're talking millions Canadian-wide.
Oh my gosh.
I just don't know if the 2025 numbers are completed yet.
Okay, so again, you get a phone call, you get a text, you get an email that's weird.
Yeah.
Just hang up, just delete, and call someone.
Yes, but the problem is secrecy is what they use as the hook. They tell you that if you do not provide this money quickly, that something else will happen, that the situation will escalate. So slowing down, hang up first.
Yeah.
Do your verifications. We can't say it enough.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing this with us. If you want more information, we do have a link on our website as well.
Hey there, welcome inside the Sports Center newsroom. Lindsay Hamilton with your must-see moment from Thursday. And for it, we are heading to Brooklyn. It's the Spurs and Nets, second quarter here. Carter Bryant leaves it for Stephon Castle, soars in for a monster slam. The 6'6" Castle, putting the 6'10" Noah Clowney on a poster, throwing it down with authority. That right there, your must-see moment. Meanwhile, Friday on TSN, you can see the National Lacrosse League in action when the Rush take on the Bandits. Coverage begins 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. That's all for now from the Sports Center newsroom. Have a fantastic Friday.
The TSN Must-See Moment is brought to you by Super Blinds and Draperies, featuring Hunter Douglas products.
Friday, February 27th, taking off from a troubled city. A Winnipeg family gets some welcome news while dozens of other travelers wait for word on flights out. The Prime Minister is in India to talk trade and security, while some in Canada's Sikh community say assurances that India will cease interfering in affairs here ring somewhat hollow. And imagine being a judge in this Parisian competition. The pay wouldn't matter much, but the bread would be out of this world. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning. Happy Friday to you. It's 8 o'clock. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Your Morning Winnipeg. Coming up, today is International Polar Bear Day. We're going to talk a little bit more about what it means to, make some choices in your life that could affect polar bears living up in the north. We're going to talk a little bit more about how they're doing right now, how the last fall was, and how they're doing at this point in the winter season. This is their denning time, so the mamas and the cubs, it's a very important time of year for them. So we're going to find out what's going on out in those parts and what we could do to help them out.
And we are the polar bear capital of the world.
And it certainly feels like we're going to all be polar bears this weekend.
Oh my goodness, you're right about that. Ooh, This is my favorite time of the day when we look out and see such a stunning sky, and it's always so different depending on the cloud cover. Well, today there's a few extra clouds, but look when it finds a break and then shines through them. 1 degree, it's very mild right now. Wouldn't feel like the polar bear capital at this time, but later today, that's when things will take a bit of a turn. Right now, those winds are out of the west at 36 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 79%. And it's those winds that are going to ruin the day. I shouldn't say that. They're not going to ruin anybody's day, but they might make it a little bit nasty, especially kicking around some snow, blowing snow advisories in effect all throughout southern Manitoba and parts of central Manitoba. And you can still see those scattered flurries that are falling in some parts of the south. But then further up into the north where it's clear, it's cold. And I'm talking like that's where the polar bears will be happy today. Waking up with wind chill values in the low -50s across northern Manitoba. Environment Canada has issued extreme cold warnings for you. And then, yes, snow and blowing snow due to these intense winds. And I'm talking intense. Winds today could gust at times to about 80 kilometers per hour. So very, very strong winds driving those temperatures down, but it'll clear out as that happens. So as it gets colder, it'll get clearer, sunnier. That's how the weekend will look, but make sure that you're bundled up because those temperatures won't be budging much for the weekend. They will, however, bump up for next week, but the weekend itself cold and below normal, and even today getting colder as we fall from 1 degree down into below seasonal temperatures this afternoon. Cody Ann, thank you so much for your art today and sharing it with us. We'd love to see more of what you're working on, so send those pictures to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
The Weather Art of the Day is brought to you by 103.1 Virgin Radio.
A Winnipeg family that had been stuck in Mexico following the violence that broke out in Puerto Vallarta last Sunday received some good news after what's been a days-long wait to find out about flights home.
Everyone is feeling quite stressed and anxious about what's going to happen in the next few days, whether or not we're going to get home.
Those stresses have eased a bit for Keegan Sum and his family after days of uncertainty. WestJet informed the family last night that they'd be aboard a flight this morning from Mexico to Winnipeg. Welcome news for one family, but others are still waiting to hear.
Our rep said there's still 44 people at this specific property from Winnipeg that are awaiting flights. So we know we're not alone in this.
Meantime, a WestJet spokesperson tells CTV News it has scheduled 12 additional flights to Puerto Vallarta to bring people home and says it may add even more depending on demand. People who booked through a travel agent or online booking agency are asked to contact them instead of WestJet. The airline also noted it will be reviewing all expense submissions incurred as a result of this disruption. The federal government has announced more than $1.5 billion to support Jordan's Principle, a legal principle which states First Nations children must have equal access to social and health services. The federal Indigenous Services Minister says the $1.55 billion will renew the program until March 2027. It comes amid a backlog advocates say has reached some 130,000 cases, and the minister is facing criticism for a 2025 directive which limited the scope of services covered by Jordan's Principle. The announcement was welcomed by local First Nations leaders. However, they also voiced concerns about what they describe as a lack of First Nations input in how the program is administered. Prime Minister Mark Carney has arrived in India to start his 3-country trade trip. Canada and India are expected to formally launch talks for a broad trade deal during this visit. CTV News also has learned officials are planning to sign letters of intent and memorandums of understanding on defense, critical minerals, and energy. The Prime Minister's trip comes as federal officials have reassessed India's involvement in foreign interference. They say it's no longer actively happening. Members of Canada's Sikh community disagree.
To tell communities who are continuing to live these realities that this connection somehow has magically disappeared is not reassuring. It is dishonest, it is insulting, and it is gaslighting at its highest level.
Earlier this week, Sikh activist Moninder Singh says he was warned by police about a credible threat to him and his family. He's convinced the threat is coming from India's government. Ottawa's public safety minister acknowledges there is still a lot more work to do to make sure foreign agents are not intimidating people living in Canada. Of all the cities in the world, Paris certainly knows where its bread is buttered. A competition was held. A skilled panel of judges sliced through contenders to find out which baker could rise to the occasion and to determine which baguette is best. Here's a look at what's happening right now on the St. James Bridge. It looks like things are moving quite well in this part of the city. We have no issues to tell you about at this point in the drive.
Traffic is brought to you by Curtis Carpets, Manitoba's flooring experts.
Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail. We're talking to artists at Artbeat Studio. Good morning.
This one's called All About Tyler. Rochelle, Lonnie, and Tyler himself join me. We're going to show you all of these amazing pieces here at Artbeat Studio. We'll start with you, Lonnie. These pieces are amazing. How did the collaboration start?
Yeah, awesome. So Tyler and I were in Artbeat in 2021 together, and we have just kind of maintained a friendship since then. And we constantly exchange art with each other, like talk about art and show each other our art. For me, the collaboration with Tyler was about making sure that him and I are both like working together and kind of figuring out what, I don't know. It took a lot of just collaboration and sitting with each other and kind of figuring out what we wanted to say, right? So we made, there's an interview that goes with it, and yeah. There's just a bunch of stuff. Sorry.
Don't apologize. This stuff, the art speaks for itself. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's hard to find the words. Okay, Tyler, tell us about these pieces. Let's start with the one to our immediate left.
This one's based on kind of like a haunted skull. It's based on my other program, the Aboriginal Center on Higgins, and it's kind of like a mix between Scooby-Doo and like real life or whatever.
I love that so much. Okay, the second one?
The second one, which one?
The middle with the frame. They're all framed, but the big one in the front.
Sorry. Tomahawk Jack is based on kind of like a vigilante in kind of like in Winnipeg. And it's kind of like he deals with the corruption or whatever, and then it's based on like you know, everyone needs a hero and all that. So I think it's good. You know, that's all.
So do we. Okay, First Fridays are an opportunity for people to check these out. We are in the exchange. Back to you.
Thank you, Ainsley. It was a pair of mythological characters that inspired one woman's epic quest. CTV's Adam Sawatsky finds out the connection between some fierce Vikings and a mission to help animals in need.
Before we meet her rescue dogs, Kim Spencer introduces us to her Norse gods.
This is Odin, and this is Freya. She travels with cats and a boar, so animal lover too.
Kim originally painted them for a festival before using them as Halloween decorations and ended up keeping them on her fence to be neighborly.
Get to know people in a weird, wonderful way.
And some of those people tell Kim she looks like the descendant of Vikings.
I also dress like a Viking because it's really easy. I just put on some leather and fur and there you go. Instant Viking.
While she's not aware of any Nordic heritage and certainly doesn't connect with the violence often associated with Vikings,
I do have this sort of fierce protector thing about me.
Kim worked in pediatric psychiatry and taught children with disabilities before agreeing to rescue Gregory after seeing him on the euthanasia list at an animal shelter in Los Angeles.
It hurts my heart.
And then, when she heard about all the other dogs in the city being left alone after their people were unexpectedly detained or deported, Kim decided, like a Viking, to embark on a quest to save as many dogs as she can.
I have dogs. I can't imagine being ripped away from them and knowing they're going to die.
After traveling across land and sea and air, Kim spent the final stages of her latest quest in the back of this small van.
This is where I slept. I moved this crate over. 2 of the rescues in these 2 crates and then the 3rd in the front. And it wasn't fun, but you got to do what you got to do when you're saving lives. It was stinky. She loves the cuddles.
And now, the 7th dog that Kim has brought home,
You're safe now.
named Wiggle Waggle,
You're safe and you know it.
is ready to be adopted by a forever family.
It just feels good to do something.
And it feels really good, Kim says, to unleash a little Viking energy to help others.
Seize life by the horns. Be a decent human. Just wake up every day and go, what can I do to make the world better?
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Victoria.
Oh my goodness, get those dogs outside for a stroll, but make sure they're tethered down, especially the little ones. They could take flight with the kind of winds that we're expecting today. As we look now through the CTV Live Eye, brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. And you can see that camera shaking. The winds are going to be strong today. The temperatures are so incredibly pleasant. In fact, we've risen again, now sitting at 2 degrees here in Winnipeg. Portage also at 2, 1 in the Morden Winkler area, and then a few places that are just a few below the freezing mark. Brandon at -4, Gimli -3, a little bit cooler over in Dauphin at -8, and you can see it getting colder and colder as we're moving up into parts of northern Manitoba. Colder yet, so all of a sudden we're in those low to mid or high -30s, and all of this before we're factoring in the winds, which are making it feel in the -50s across much of northern Manitoba. So extreme cold warnings have been issued by Environment Canada, and a reminder again that exposed skin can freeze in a matter of minutes in these kind of conditions. So be very smart about the time that you're spending outdoors, and it might just be an indoor day for a lot of folks. Here in the central and southern parts of the province, the wind, it's not impacting the temperature quite in the same way because it is so mild, but blowing snow advisories have been issued all across southern Manitoba. There will be some falling snow and yes, blowing snow, and anything from yesterday could still be kicking around with some near zero visibility expected at times. Now the temperature from +2 will be sliding throughout the day, and by the time kids are coming home from school today, well below seasonal. -14 is a lot closer to a normal low temperature than a seasonal daytime high, and tomorrow will be even colder yet, plummeting into the deep freeze overnight, those high -20 temps before we rebound for next week and then hold steady in those high single digits. We're taking a break, but we'll see you soon with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Netflix has dropped out of the fight to buy Warner Brothers, clearing the way for rival bidder Paramount Skydance to clinch its $111 billion deal for the historic Hollywood studio. The streaming industry leader said that while it believed its deal would have passed muster with regulators and created shareholder value, it didn't want to keep bidding. Jack Dorsey's Block is cutting 4,000 employees, reducing its workforce by nearly half, in a move the financial technology firm is describing as a bet on artificial intelligence changing the future of labor productivity. Dorsey, the company's co-founder, said in a call with analysts that he believes many companies will ultimately have to make similar moves due to AI. I don't think we're early to this realization, he said. I think most companies are late. Those are your morning business headlines. For B&M Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
Today is the 21st International Polar Bear Day. It's a day to celebrate the majestic animal, but it's also a time to reflect on how climate change is making polar bears vulnerable. Joining us now from Polar Bears International is the Director of Science, Elisa McCall. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now, why is this day so important to us and to polar bears?
Right, yeah, we just developed this day to help draw extra attention to polar bears in the middle of winter, and particularly to the moms and cubs who are right now still nestled in their dens before they head out to that Arctic sea ice to go hunt seals.
So this is a very critical time for them right now. Tell us why.
Absolutely. Families, polar bear families in the Arctic are so vulnerable. These moms have these tiny little cubs. They have so many stresses ahead of them. Their environment's changing, human disturbance is increasing, and it's so critical that we protect, particularly this time of year where they're in their den, and just make sure mom's not disturbed and the family has a chance to grow up healthy and get out to that sea ice and keep being polar bears.
When do they slowly start waking up?
So right around now, you can actually check out the Polar Bears International Polar Bear Tracker. There's several bears denning right now, and Bear 10, she had a ping on her collar about a week ago. So I think they're starting to stir, and we'll see them head to the coast in the next week or 2 or 3.
And how are polar bears doing this year? How was last fall on them, and how's the winter so far?
Yeah, so far seems okay. You know, the Arctic sea ice is changing, but the Arctic is a large place, so it depends where we look. Right now, it should be good for these bears, at least in Manitoba, to head out to the ice and have decent conditions. So we're really hopeful that they have a great spring out on the ice, and mom can gain a lot of that weight back that she's lost over the winter while she's nursing and sleeping.
Okay, and there are indications in other parts of the world where polar bears live that they're finding a way to adapt to climate change. What are we seeing here in Manitoba?
In Manitoba, we know that these bears are a little more resilient compared to other populations. These bears are used to spending more time on land. They are used to warmer temperatures, and polar bears are really smart. So they're going to look for different ways to eat whenever they can. But we know that as the sea ice goes, so do polar bears. So we need to keep the Arctic sea ice stable to keep a healthy population of polar bears in Hudson Bay in Manitoba.
So what can we do in our everyday lives to help protect them?
Right, the biggest thing is we need to be switching to cleaner energy sources broadly, so we can be pressuring our politicians. We can also be asking our leaders to make sure there are good protections for moms and cubs. And Wapas National Park is an excellent example, but we need to make sure that that area is safe for all these families that are growing up in Manitoba.
Lisa, what is your favorite part about the polar bear? What do you love about it?
Oh gosh, that sea ice landscape is like another planet. I cannot believe that any bears live out there, let alone raise babies out there. It blows my mind. I'm going through winter in the Yukon right now, and I'm like, I can't believe polar bears like this. It's amazing. They're incredible.
and so on this day, what do you want Manitobans to think about, and what can they do in their everyday lives to make a difference?
Yeah, Manitoba really is such a special place for polar bears. It's a leader in the polar bear world. And yeah, you can check out our website, polarbearsinternational.org, learn more about this incredible species, what Manitoba is doing for this species. Tell your friends and family it's Polar Bear Day, and check out our website. We've got lots of cute mom and cub stuff today, so it'll put a smile on your face.
And we could actually watch them live too. Tell us about some of the live cams you have set up everywhere.
Right, we partner with explore.org. We have a series of live cams across Churchill to celebrate northern Manitoba and bring it to the rest of the world. So in the summer, we have belugas. In the fall, we have amazing polar bear cams. And right now, the Northern Lights cam is incredible. So definitely check that out.
So cool. Well, thank you, Elisa, for sharing this with us, and happy Polar Bear Day.
Thanks so much.
All right, let's go to Terry outside now. That wind is certainly picking up, Terry.
This wind is wild. Let me tell you, I stepped out here, I was like, oh, it's snowing. Then I realized that it's actually just blowing off of the rooftops. I'll put a little video on. Oh, I went the wrong way, sorry. Rookie. Anyway, I'm watching it blow off the buildings in the downtown area. I'll put a video up on my Instagram so you can see what I'm seeing, but it gets to near zero visibility at times, and you can see what we're gonna be in for, especially in maybe some open or outlying areas where you're going to notice those winds even more intensely. Now, those winds, they are pretty intense on their own, gusting to 57 kilometers per hour out of the west-northwest. 2 degrees, though, it is very mild, but with that wind, I'm already finding myself doing up the jacket, throwing up the hood. 2 degrees doesn't feel so pleasant when you're dealing with a 57K wind gusting out of the northwest, expected to increase further up to 80K winds likely for the afternoon as the temperatures won't stay at +2. They're going to be falling. Central and southern Manitoba, that's where the snow will be falling. The blowing snow advisories have been issued. For northern Manitoba, it's incredibly cold. It's clear you're going to see some sunshine, but your temperatures are in the mid to high -30s and wind chill values in those low to mid -50s, and exposed skin can freeze in a matter of minutes in those areas. So just make sure you're being smart about the time that you're spending outdoors. This little guy, this was not taken today, but look at that coat. What an interesting color. Thank you to Wilfred for sharing this picture, and keep the photos coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Weather is brought to you by ABC Fire and Safety, your CO2 refill store.
Travel is one of my biggest passions, so I always like to stay on top of, some of the ways to make it maybe a little bit more effortless or affordable. We're bringing in travel expert Jen Weatherhead Harrington today. Good morning, Jen. Good to see you again.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so let's talk first about affordability, because people are often looking for the best deal that they can get, and you've got some tips to help us out in that sense.
I do, because we all want to save a little bit of money. I love to use Skyscanner. So it's a global travel app. They curate all the flight prices and hotel prices, car rental prices into one spot for you. But they've also just launched their cheapest destination planner. So this lets you look by month throughout the year. You can find the cheapest destinations each month and on what days are best to fly to that destination. So great way to save some money. They even have a top 10 cheap destination list for the entire year. And I just looked at it, and you can find some really amazing flights like let's go to Costa Rica in April. Round trip flights for $573.
Ooh, okay.
Or if we want to go somewhere really far, we could go to Japan in March. Round trip airfare, $1183, and it's still one of those really affordable destinations. And Skyscanner also found out that the cheapest and best day to fly for Canadians are actually Sundays. So make sure you plan your trip around that when you're using the app.
All right. Yeah, that's an excellent tip, especially when you're able to like pinpoint right down to what day to maybe save a few bucks. Fantastic information there. All right. Here's one of the things, Jen. Traveling, it's lovely. It's fun. Feels great until you catch the airport cold. You got some tips to maybe help us stave that off.
Yeah, you want to protect your immune system. You don't want to feel crummy while you're on vacation. So I travel with two things, probiotics and vitamin D. I have a few selections here from Orange Naturals. I really like them because in the probiotic side, 70% of your immune system, it revolves around your gut. So probiotics are really great for this. They have ones for women, for children, and a regular adult one, and they're super easy to travel with, shelf stable. They also have vitamin D3 that's paired with K2 to help you absorb that. Really important during the winter for your immune system. Again, they have it in a drop format or a capsule, so super easy to travel with. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You can pick them all up at Shoppers Drug Mart to make it super easy.
Okay, and I mean, that's a great tip, whether you're like traveling and need something to like beat the airport bug, or even just at home, because it's flu season after all, right?
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about for some of those folks that might be jetting off somewhere warm. You've got some great ideas there.
Yeah, so let's talk about packing and where we could go to get a little, swimsuit inspiration. I love La Vie en Rose because they have such a great collection, especially right now. They have so many kind of coastal inspired hues when it comes to bikinis. They have neutral one pieces, which are really great to pack for any kind of beach vacation. They also have these really cute matching sets, and I love that you can mix and match things. You could pair the bottoms with a different top or a different bikini. Lots of different options. So many fun colors and prints to work with. So whether you're going on a trip or not, you can go into La Vie en Rose or lavieonrose.com and at least be inspired.
Very
to go
nice.
Somewhere warm.
You'll be looking cute on the beach for sure, but I don't want to run out of time because you're going to have us looking cute on the plane as well.
Cute and comfortable on the plane. So Roots actually has a travel collection. It's called their Rome collection. I love this because it's joggers and hoodies, half zip hoodies, and it's all made out of scuba material or ribbed material. So it moves with you. It's super comfortable, so soft, moisture wicking, stain resistant, and also wrinkle resistant.
Yes.
So if you wear this on an overnight flight curled up next to the window, you're going to get off the plane and not look like a crumpled mess. You're still going to look really stylish.
So chic, and yeah, it'll feel cozy like you're in your pajamas, but you certainly won't look that way, and that's what's most important. Jen, thank you so much for showing up and sharing all these tips. All the luck to you for your next flight, wherever you're headed.
Thanks for having me.
Here's a look at what's happening now along Donald Street. Things are moving well here. It's starting to get windy out there, though. We'll be right back with more news, weather, and traffic. Stay with us.
Ooh, it's looking dark. It's getting nasty outside. These winds have increased now. They're gusting to 57 kilometers per hour. That +2 already does not feel like +2, and it's going to feel even worse when it actually starts to drop off. The temperature, or the pressure, pardon me, is rising, and the humidity is sitting at 74%. Blowing snow now is starting to be a factor, and that'll continue to be an issue throughout the day today. We're under a blowing snow advisory that Environment Canada has issued for much of central and parts of much of central and southern Manitoba. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, further up into the north where it's clear, it's incredibly cold. That's where the temperatures are in the low to mid -30s and feeling in the -50s right now with that wind chill factored in. So for northern Manitoba, bundle up or maybe even limit your time outdoors because exposed skin can freeze in a matter of minutes in these conditions. Here in the south, incredibly mild. In fact, we exceeded expectations. I thought we'd get up to about 1 degree. We're already sitting at 2, but we're not likely to stay there as these winds increase, and they will at times gust to perhaps 80 kilometers per hour. Temperatures will be falling then throughout the day today and ending up well below normal and falling even further than overnight down into the deep freeze at -27. A normal low would be -15, so more than 10 degrees below seasonal, and still with those gusty winds, not quite as strong as today, but up to 50k wind gusts overnight should ease throughout the day tomorrow, but the temperature just won't budge much, so -18 are expected high, even though the conditions will clear and we'll enjoy some sunshine throughout the weekend. Still cold on Sunday, but warming up big time, close to the freezing mark Monday, and then settling into those mid to high minus single digits through the week.
We have breaking news this morning. We're getting a snapshot of how the economy closed out the year 2025. Figures just released by StatsCan say Canada's GDP shrunk by 0.2% in the fourth quarter of 2025. This follows a third quarter, which saw the economy rise by 0.6%. StatsCan says a decline in exports, particularly to the U.S., was the main contributor to the slower rise in GDP in 2025. The Winnipeg Jets are back in action tonight, paying a visit to Anaheim to take on the Ducks. Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuck is expected to join the team there, although who's actually starting is not yet confirmed. Hellebuck won gold on Sunday for the United States in a nail-biter against Canada.
We did this for the nation. We did this for the country. And what better place to go celebrate than the heart of that nation and that country, and that's the White House. And personally, I want to be able to tell my kids one day, I walked those halls. I got to see all the history that the president all created. And I had to walk the same footprints that they've made day in and day out. Regardless of who's in office, that's a really cool thing to do.
Since the win, the U.S. men's team has been celebrated and at times criticized for what came after the historic victory. Some have said the team should have declined a visit to the White House and the invitation to attend President Trump's State of the Union address. At the address, it was announced Hellebuck would receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his pivotal role in the gold medal win. In an interview supplied by the Winnipeg Jets, he also talked about the significance of the U.S. women's team also defeating Canada for gold.
We were very close with them, and we all celebrated together, and there was no one more excited for when they won than us. Like, we wanted them to win just as badly, and you know, it's unfortunate that their win is getting overshadowed right now, because what they did was just incredible.
Game time for this evening as the Jets visit the Ducks is 9 p.m. There is a heated rivalry brewing among two East Coast communities. At issue, which city can claim itself to be the birthplace of hockey? CTV's Paul Hollingsworth explains.
There is an intense Made in the Maritimes hockey rivalry brewing between two Nova Scotia communities. Windsor and Dartmouth both lay claims to be the place where hockey was invented in the 1800s.
These were found all back there.
Sports historian Danny Dill says there are essays and artifacts going back more than 200 years that prove hockey started in Windsor.
They were doing research in the 80s, and they come across this passage about two boys playing on Long Pond. And it was 1816, 1818.
But according to historian David Jones, hockey was first played on this frozen lake in Dartmouth using these strap-on skates.
Oh yeah, this goes back to the earliest days of playing hockey on Lake Banook, on Oat Hill Lake, on Halifax Harbor.
The Nova Scotia legislature recently introduced Bill 187, an act to recognize Windsor as the official birthplace of hockey. When Jones found out, his reaction was...
I said, the Windsor what?
Jones's father, Martin, wrote a book about hockey's original roots beginning in Dartmouth and says there is rock-solid research to back it up.
It's undeniable. It's right here. It's in Dartmouth. And sadly, Windsor doesn't have a claim at all.
Dill's reaction to the suggestion hockey was first played in Dartmouth?
I'd say, I'm sorry, no, it didn't. I mean, I really hate to say this. I have before, and I've got proof in here, documented proof.
Other places in Canada also claim to be the birthplace of hockey, including Montreal and Kingston, Ontario. Danny Dill says the historical evidence shows hockey started here in Windsor, Nova Scotia. People then introduced the sport to other parts of Canada, and he says there is no debate. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Windsor, Nova Scotia.
Here's a look at what's happening now on McPhillip Street. Things are moving well here. We have no issues in the drive this morning to tell you about. Here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.33. The provincial average is $1.28. In Winnipeg, the average is slightly higher at $1.30. And the lowest price in the city is $1.09. All this info is on GasBuddy.com. It's time now for our question of the day responses. What were your favorite cartoons as a kid? Jason's favorite cartoon as a kid was Thundercats. Transformers for Janet. Leslie's favorite cartoons were Saturday morning cartoons, which included Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, Foghorn, Leghorn. Mothers thanked the networks for the break. Of course they did. Michelle liked to watch the Flintstones, the Jetsons, and Bugs Bunny. Viewers shared a list: Woody Woodpecker, Pink Panther, Rocket Robin Hood, and the Amazing Spider-Man. fan. Susan loved the Land of the Lost. Sandy's fave was cartoon back in the day was the Roadrunner and Poor Old Wile E. Coyote. Meep Meep. Guy used to run home from school to watch Dragon Ball Z, his favorite cartoon. Jennifer's favorite cartoon was still the Bugs and Bunny and Tweety show. Bugs Bunny and the Flintstones were Peter's favorites. Anne loved Flintstones, Jetsons, and the Smurfs. Yogi Bear and Boo Boo always looking for picnic baskets, said Elaine. Darlene shared the best cartoons when I was a kid were Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, and Flintstones. Lots of slapstick comedy. Lamont's favorite cartoons were Voltron and Thundercats. For Jackie, Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner Hour, Mighty Mouse, and Flintstones. And James shared, I grew up in the 70s and nothing came close to Bugs Bunny. Thank you so much for your responses. Let's go now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at Artbeat Studio this morning. Lots going on there as well, and some amazing pieces of art. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I guess cartoons are somewhat a piece of art. We might have seen a few in the other room with the exhibition. James Dixon is joining us now. We're going to be talking about the program that goes beyond the program that's in this facility. Tell us a little bit more about how people can purchase the artist's work.
Well, folks who go through our programming, as you've seen, they make so much art, so much incredible art. And for us, one of the next steps after the Artbeat Studio program is to bring their work into Upbeat Artworks. Upbeat Artworks is our social enterprise in Portage Place. It's an art gallery that features all of the art created by folks who've gone through our programming.
Mm-hmm. And there must be a huge variety because you've already had how many different cohorts of students?
Yeah, 100%. Like the art that we have just is so many different mediums. And if you go to upbeatartworks.com, you can see all of that variety and all of those artists that have gone through our programming. It's really, really incredible.
Mm-hmm. The folks that come through these doors, they're dealing with some mental health challenges and struggles. That doesn't end when they leave these doors, but I'm sure it really helps them to be able to continue that process. Is that true?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And through Artbeat and programs like Studio Central, it's something that it's a drop-in art center in Portage Place Shopping Center. It's a space where artists who have worked with us can continue to work with us in this free community-based art space.
Mm-hmm. That must be really empowering for them too, to be able to make the money back.
Oh, 100%. Like for folks to see their work on display, for folks to sell their work is so encouraging, and it only builds confidence for folks in their practice.
Mm-hmm. What people might not know too is that you're taking donations. What sort of items?
Yes, we love donations. Artbeat, Studio Central, Upbeat Artworks, social enterprise, charity, nonprofit. We love donations. We're a space that really works and connects with folks when the community can help us out with art supplies. It just builds our creative space, and folks have access to free materials so they can continue making art. Donations are really great. We can take them at Studio Central in Portage Place, or we can take donations at Artbeat Studio.
Thank you so much, James. Really appreciate it. Back to you.
Thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now. Oh, yeah. You could tell that wind is picking up there, Terry.
Yeah, I noticed it too, having to zip up the coat. Honestly, first thing this morning, the winds were still quite light and the temperatures were mild. The temperatures themselves have actually gotten milder, but because the winds increased, I'm finding myself needing to zip up the jacket. And when the show started, I was just standing out here with the jacket unzipped, carefree, and now it's like hands in the pocket, and yeah, feeling the chill of it all due to those winds. 2 degrees, so we are still above the freezing mark right now with those winds gusting to 57 kilometers per hour out of the west-northwest. The pressure rising, the humidity sitting at 74%. Heavier clouds, I'm seeing a few scattered flakes of snow, but the blowing snow will also be an issue, and it's all due to these very strong winds. It'll be a lot worse in the outlying or more open areas. Much of central and southern Manitoba is dealing with blowing snow advisories, and then there's northern Manitoba where it's clear and you'll enjoy sunshine, but nobody's going to be enjoying the temperatures as they're in the mid-minus 30s and feeling, with those winds factored in the mid-minus 50s. So exposed skin can freeze very quickly, and as a result, Environment Canada has issued extreme cold warnings for the north, and then those blowing snow advisories here in the south, and these temperatures, they're going to plummet this afternoon, staying cold all weekend long. We're taking a break, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather is brought to you by Canadian Footwear, helping you find the perfect fit.
Have a news tip, When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
Canadian broadcasting legend Marilyn Dennis announced she is signing off from her longtime morning radio show. CTV's Michelle Dubé has the details.
It is -7 right now. -7. In the summer, it'll be +24. Hopefully.
And this summer is when I'm going to celebrate my 40th anniversary living in this chum universe.
She's a morning radio icon, and today Marilyn Dennis surprised listeners.
40 years doing this morning show.
40 years.
Isn't that amazing?
I love it.
I can't believe I'm saying that. But I also have to say something else. It's been a privilege, but I'm also going to step away this summer from this morning show and this station that I love.
After a historic radio career that started in 1976, she says it's time.
It's hard to leave when everything's going well, but I thought that was a good benchmark to say that's enough. And maybe some people feel the same way.
They know what makes you feel good.
Toronto talks about Roger, Rick, and Marilyn.
Her presence on Canadian airwaves groundbreaking. She says she got into radio because she wasn't hearing female voices.
I'm Edmonton born, but I was brought up in Pittsburgh because of my dad's work, and I used to listen to the top 40 radio stations. I thought, these guys are having fun, yes, and they play great music, yes, but I wasn't hearing any women.
She added her distinct voice to the mix and built a successful television career, too. Dennis signed off from her daytime TV show in 2023, honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Canadian Screen Awards the following year.
Love Marilyn. I absolutely love her from childhood.
Great fashion and just been a wonderful person. Oh, I'm going to miss her. That sucks.
You are going to be so missed, Marilyn Dennis. You are chum and have been chum for 40 years. And I don't want there to be any tears.
She says even though it's her decision, it's not an easy one.
It's kind of like my routine for 40 years.
For 40 years, waking up at what time?
Well, it depends.
2, 3 in the morning?
Today was 2:30.
No sleeping in yet, though. Her final show will air sometime this summer with plenty of surprises along the way. Michelle Dubé, CTV News.
The late Canadian Indigenous artist Norval Morrisseau, his colorful pieces, and art fraud are being examined in a new play. Indigenous playwright Drew Hayden Taylor's world premiere play, titled The Undeniable Accusations of Red Cadmium Light, is on right now at Prairie Theatre Exchange. Joining us now is the actor in the play, Kala Adubo-for-Poku. Good morning, Kala.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about Norval Morrisseau. In case somebody doesn't realize, he was quite famous, Indigenous artist. His pieces are iconic. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell us what sets them apart from other art.
Yeah, like you said, they're so vibrant, so beautiful. He's known for kind of a woodland style art, so lots of vibrant colors, founded in nature, I'd say, and yeah, they brighten up any room they're in, I'd say.
And what's fascinating about his pieces is that it's one of the biggest art fraud cases in the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell us about that part.
Yeah, throughout his life, he didn't keep much documentation of his work, so that's one reason that these pieces are often frauded, because there's not too much record of what was his and what wasn't.
Okay.
And it started with his family and friends kind of taking some of his pieces and making them again and then selling them for money, and then it became a larger thing. I think people saw how, I guess, easy that could have been, and then really it became a big bad monster.
So this was actually happening in his lifetime and then beyond his life as well.
Yeah.
So it was happening a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do we know when art fraud has occurred in some of his iconic pieces?
There's a few ways to tell, and it kind of gets into it in the play as well. There's a scanning process that you can do to some of the pieces that will reveal what's underneath the paint.
Okay.
Sometimes there's pencil drawings of what should go where and stuff like that, and Norval wouldn't do that in his process. He would start with just paint. And there's also various paint colors that only existed at a certain time. Red Cadmium Light, the title of the play, only existed after, I think it's 1995 or something like that. So if you have a Norval Morrisseau piece dated 1979 and it uses red cadmium light, then you know it's not one of his.
It's a fake.
It's a fraud, yeah.
And this was a big deal, and thousands of dollars as well. Okay, so So this is what you're delving into the story of this play. Tell us a little bit about what's happening in the story.
Yeah, you find yourself at Otter Lake Reserve, and my character's mother, Najina Gig, is an Indigenous art expert, specifically an expert in finding forgeries and kind of telling if a piece specifically of Norval's is real or fake. And she gets interviewed by a journalist who's doing a story on fake Indigenous art, specifically Norval Morrisseau's. And yeah, that kind of sets the scene, and a lot is revealed through the interview, and it kind of affects the whole world.
It sounds fascinating. And what's really cool is that this has been a partnership with the Winnipeg Art Gallery as well, with their original Norval Morrisseau pieces. Tell us a little bit about how they actually have a presence on stage.
Yeah, we have a few different pieces of his. One is, they're both real, but one is, we kind of present it as the fake in the show. Okay. Because we didn't want to give too much time and space to actual forgeries. Right. And yeah, we have them. They're very beautiful. They're copies of the originals, and it's so you can mime it and you can imagine what they look like, and then seeing them in person, even a copy of an original, is it's breathtaking and beautiful.
So the show is on right now, and it runs until March the 8th at Prairie Theatre Exchange, The Undeniable Accusations of Red Cadmium Light. If you want more details on the play or how to get your hands on tickets, we have a link on our website. Thank you, Calla.
Thank you so much.
Okay, today it's going to be interesting. I know 2 degrees, you see that on the screen, and you're thinking, wow, it's so mild out there. And it is well above seasonal, plus digits, late February. That sounds like a bit of a shock to the system. Well, the real shock to the system will come later on today when that temperature starts to fall. Actually, there's a bit of a shock already with those winds out of the west-northwest gusting to 57 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity sitting at 74%. So the wind's already strong, but they'll only get stronger today. We've got blowing snow advisories in effect through central and southern Manitoba, where the snow is falling in patchy places, and those winds are expected to gust to about 80 kilometers per hour. And then there's northern Manitoba, clear but cold, extreme cold warnings in place. Wind chill values that you're waking up to this morning are in the -50s, and exposed skin can freeze in a matter of minutes in those conditions. I thought we'd get to 1 degree, but we surpassed it already, up at 2, but that temperature dropping off throughout the day, ending up in the deep freeze and staying there for the weekend. So well below seasonal temperatures, though we will see the sunshine returning for the weekend. And next week, there's a nice big warm-up Monday before we settle into those high minus single digits the rest of the week. Taking a break right now, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Rooftop arrangements provided by Lacoste Garden Center. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
Okay, before we send you off into the weekend, we're going to show you some fun video. We kick things off with a tiny dancer. Oh, actually a tiny hunter. This baby flamingo is learning to catch food by splashing around in the water. They stomp around to stir up and trap their prey from the mud, and as you can see, they're not born pink, but actually start off white.
Okay, who hasn't put this to a soundtrack yet?
I know, I was just going to say, what song would this work to? Looks good.
Oh, cute.
Well, bedtime can be a tough time in many homes. That's why you have to get creative.
Who's ready for club sleep? Single file. Get in line, sir. I remember you. Please drop the velvet rope. One at a time.
This mom has turned bedtime into a VIP event. Club Sleep is an exclusive members-only hotspot for those 5 and under in this house.
It's true. You know, you put up a rope and people can't wait to get in. You remember how we used to stand waiting, and then you get to the other side and you're like, seriously?
What's going on? And then showing up is important, and this example is sure to warm your heart. These grade 4 students in Salt Lake City have been constantly showing up to cheer on their high school basketball team, even traveling to away games. And then one day, a player on the high school team said he would come and watch the younger team play. The parents of the grade 4s say they were prepared for their children to be disappointed, doubting the player would really show up. But guess what? He did, and he brought the entire team with him, bringing so much happiness to the younger players.
Oh, I love that.
Love that. That does it for us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Happy Friday.